You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 121, 2022, year-end review.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that has about 20 more comics to read before the year's out, so obviously he decided to read Dark Crisis instead. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And welcome for another episode of the Savage FINcast, the internet's only Savage Dragon / Eric Larson focused podcast. We are back for a kind of a unique episode where we're going to just kind of talk about our year. The anniversaries, plural, how we're feeling, what we read this year that we care about, what we watched this year, anything. Just kind of an overall shit-shoot session. Shit-shoot session.
Sunshine Shitty. Plus, if none of that appeals to you, we're going to have some first Fin opinions of the Ultimate Collection.
Oh, yes, we do have that hot take.
That's right.
Raven has got his mitts upon it.
Mm-hmm. And I've got hot takes. Get ready, old man Larson. You're going to hear it.
It'll be hot takes a week later.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad way to start. So you've got the hardcover.
I do. So, ran out to the shop in anticipation of this shit shoot session to get the Ultimate Edition #1, and gotta say that this is one incredibly fucking high quality hardcover. And I mean, I think Savage Dragon fans are gonna fucking shit at just how good a job the recoloring did for these old pages. It's truly fantastic. The choice to recolor them was worth it. Not to pick. I was joking about tearing the book apart. Not to pick, but all of the formatter stuff was I think looks recolored because there's no moire effect at all. I mean, if you don't know, listeners, if you scan something that has already been printed, the dot process used to create printing, when you scan it in, that dot process creates patterns that are visible to the human eye. It's called the moire effect. Doesn't look great. You can visibly see it. Kind of is going to read to your eye as a little grainy, a little off. Well, we got some of that in this collection. Not a ton, thank God. But
you're saying all the issues, none of them have that problem.
None of the issues.
If I understand all these years that we've been talking to Eric, he said that there were some specific early issues where their digital files were unusable. Mm-hmm. So presumably those ones were recolored, and the other ones where they just use the original digital colors, so it would be a fresh printing regardless. They didn't need to be scanned.
Right. I mean, as long as they had that, I think the issue was that there was stuff missing, but the end result is the same. Everything that is in the front matter, what you buy this collection for, the issues, is beautiful. It's clean, razor fucking sharp, probably never looked better. It's on that beautiful paper. It's slightly oversized. Let me show for Jim and Craig the little visual here so you can get a good idea of the oversizedness. 2 seconds here.
I'm bummed. Mine's still in the mail. It's supposed to come probably within a week, but...
What pornography have we got here to compare to it? Oh, Megaton Man. All right, so here we go. So just so you fellas can see, it's slight Oh, hold on, we'll turn this around. It's a little easier to read here on these white walls.
I mean, I believe there were Invincible collections of that size. I think there's a Saga Deluxe hardcover that's that size.
Right.
Yeah, that's like Images kind of size.
It's slight, but it's just a tiny bit bigger, and it makes a difference. It looks good.
It's about an inch bigger on the margins.
It's the same thing for the Copra collection too.
Oh yeah, that one's also just came out too. That would be the same. Yeah, there
God damn, I got another thing I gotta get. Thanks, Craig. Merry Christmas to me, I guess.
Craig is holding up the Copra collection. Craig, does that have what kind of cover stuff? Oh yeah, it's sealed in plastic. No,
it's
the cover. Glossy. Is it like smooth or is it like rough?
The actual image is smooth, like a gloss.
Okay.
And then it's just like a matted kind of.
It is kind of a matte. I was wondering about that.
Maybe like a semi-gloss, like an eggshell, like semi-gloss.
Yeah, the Copra.
How's the paper of the interior there?
Glossy, like.
Glossy, okay. Not like the individual
Not like
issues.
the actual individual, no. Like a high gloss.
So this bad boy is slightly oversized, and all of the main comic stuff is razor fucking sharp. I mean, beautiful. All of the scan, all of the gallery, all the extra stuff is beautiful. And what I wasn't expecting is for Eric to do commentary on so much of that back matter stuff. But there's little jokes that he's like, what the hell was I thinking? Or, yeah, a lot of this is just never intended to be seen, but I don't know, I'd use this guy one day and stuff like that, right? So it is kind of interesting to see this stuff. The back matter stuff is razor sharp, looks great. You do see a little bit of moire effect on the cover gallery. You do see a little bit of moire effect on the backups, which are done by people like Adam Hughes. That's your Mighty Man, Rapture, Dart, Star, those backups that ran in these original shoes.
The ones that were reprinted, that were bundled in with the second trade, I think, as the backups issue.
Right. They don't look bad.
Most of those.
Here's the thing: is they don't look bad, but they do look visibly worse than the main stuff.
Right. Those were likely scanned, because
they were
does not have the line art for them and can't reconstruct their color.
And Adam Hughes isn't going to have those pages. It's been 30 years, right? So it's like it'd be a fool's errand to try and get them.
They're in there as an extra.
Right.
It's best to think about those.
Yeah,
right.
I think for those, they were so integral to the story in the early days. Those backups really, I think the Star ones when he gets his hair burned off, right? Was that the issue?
Yep.
And then Mighty Man, they're still trying to figure out who the the identity is and things like that, right?
Right, absolutely correct. But the nice thing is that you have just so much like TLC all over this bad boy. The inside of the dust jacket has all these quotes by different people. You got fucking Kurt Busiek, Steranko, Kirkman, Quesada, Mike Allred, Kevin Smith. If you look at like the interior, you got this sweet like burning field double page spread. And then you jump on into Kirkman wrote just a fantastic foreword, which anybody who ever wanted to make an argument for Savage Dragon just to someone else, dude, it's like a gold mine of like he's speaking nothing but facts here, and it's just really great. Kirkman really went out of his way. There's a Josh Icon custom insult just for this trade.
Nice.
So I mean, again, things he didn't have to do.
I wonder if those quotes are new from the different creators, or if they're the ones that were in like the other collected editions. Because in the first bunch of collected editions, he had a bunch of quotes from different creators. It'd be interesting if they're new or.
I unfortunately don't know, but I will say that the extra material from the earlier trades is included in here. So, like, how he expanded out some scenes with just a few extra pages?
Right.
New to me was the unconscious super patriot getting up and leaving the scene of the crime. Yeah, that stuff is in here.
Yeah, because he added those for the trades to make all the pages work right too, so you don't have like a weird missing page. And I think it's probably all reordered, like when he redid the mini as the Dragon series, he reordered everything as well.
Yes, sir. You are absolutely correct. So it's cool, man. I mean, you're gonna just fucking flip. I mean, yeah, like there we go. Super Patriot just sort of shambling to life. This was new to me. I had never had this trade.
Oh, really? Because I knew about that. That was in my copy of. Wait, I definitely have seen that before.
If you had the trade, you did, but I have no trades.
Okay.
So again, for me,
or if you had the Dragon series, right?
Yeah, this is
right
new for me. So
yeah, that's how it was in my baptism fire trade.
But it's fantastic, dude.
How do you feel about him not separating the different issues as like one long narrative? You like or don't like that?
I personally don't have a problem with it. If you are reading a book like this, is heavy as shit. I mean, it's substantial. So, I mean, if you're used to reading books, you're used to like using bookmarks and stuff like that. I wouldn't use a bookmark in a trade, like a little thin trade.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a big book like this, you probably are, if you're a book reader, you use bookmarks. So I don't think it's an issue. I could see purists not liking it, but I also totally understand why he did it, because it's like, you'd have to correct for like letter's interior, the credits interior and all that. It's just the covers.
Well, it's a mess now that he so I guess he'd have to break it up by the Dragon series where he like redid it all because he couldn't break it up again.
Yeah, because because Baptism of Fire does the same thing. I think is one continuous story.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with it. I
kind of like knowing which issue stuff's from, but I don't know. I can see both ways. Like, it's kind of nice because the way Eric writes a lot of stuff, one issue goes right into the other. And so it's nice that it doesn't kind of break that up. But on the other hand, part of me likes to know which issue I'm in.
Oh, yeah. And what's funny is that's the confusion it creates is like when I get to the end of this, I'm like, oh, and it's like I don't have a good frame of reference for like the cliffhanger. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, well.
Raven, I gotta ask you. Well, I'll
Sure.
ask you both this personal question. This is a question that I often think about because I think about stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Raven, you said you never have read the trade version.
Correct.
Because you never owned it. You read it in the miniseries.
Issues only.
Craig, you started with the miniseries, right? Not with the trade. Okay.
Right.
Do you prefer starting with the cutthroat fight or the burning field?
I kind of like the cutthroat fight because it throws you in the middle of this action sequence. Like I like almost like a movie. Like, all right, like you're just first time whenever I'm reading like a new comic, I want to get thrown right into something fun and get it all juiced up. I don't like to like get the slow burn. Like I want a quick scene. Give me a little taste of what this guy's about, and then let's work it.
I'm very much pro Burning Field, but I started with the trade.
I knew it.
I like the more Burning Field mystery, straight into that Frank scene.
Yeah.
Then you do the whole blowing up the docks, and then the cutthroat scene comes in where it would chronologically.
I will add that to me, the additional pages where William Johnson is like prepping Dragon to fight Cutthroat, didn't need it.
I liked it.
Superfluous. I actually preferred it to just boom, he's fighting Cutthroat and Glowbug. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I get why he did this for a trade, but like not necessary. I kind of like the flow of just your interaction.
I like those scenes and the fact that it kind of makes Dragon feel like more of a member of the Force. Like you're getting a little bit of the background. It's not necessary, but it feels like it fills out that like, all right, how is the Force aiding Dragon, or how is he interacting with the other cops?
I got a question for you there. I'm going to defer to you as an expert on continuity, because even now after the reread, I'm just like, wait, what? This is throwing me for a loop. So I'm flipping through here, and there's a point where people are being interviewed about their feelings of Savage Dragon. It's a new page to me. I have never seen this page, and they're interviewing a skunk patchless Sharona Jackson. What? Like,
really? I don't know if I've ever noticed that was the same woman.
she even makes a joke. I wouldn't kick him out of bed, and it's like, well,
because she doesn't.
rapturous.
Is it clearly established that she doesn't get her skunk patch until she gets her lightning powers?
I had no idea. I never knew.
I might have to double check that Freak Force issue too.
Yeah, I never knew. But like in this, it's brown. Like she doesn't have the skunk patch, and she's doing an interview, and she's like, well, I wouldn't kick him out of bed. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute, like, is she not Rapture at the beginning of Savage Dragon?
I mean, it makes a little bit of sense that she might not be.
Right? Yeah. It's just funny, is all. It's a funny bit of continuity that I wasn't, like it hit me. Like I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, when did this happen? Like, what?
Which issue was her backup that she got that shows her getting the powers?
Well, she doesn't. We don't see her get her powers until the Freak Force issue.
Freak Force is where
no,
we
see. There's a backup.
The Rapture backup has to do with her shocking her pimp and Ricochet stopping.
Yep.
That's
Ricochet stops her from.
The origin isn't until Freak Force.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, because remember when we did the retro Savage Dragon retro, me and Jim, who had never read that, were shocked.
Yeah,
that Rapture's
right.
Rapture's origin.
That she had an origin story.
Yeah, that she came from Johnny Redbeard. I was like, what the fuck? What? And it happened not in Savage Dragon, but I don't know. Just one of those things where I don't know. So yeah, there's surprises. I'm just saying, like, even as a person who's been reading Savage Dragon for 30 years, like buying this, it was full of little surprises. I was like, what the hell?
So if it wasn't just that, I guess it's not that he just didn't decide on giving her the little skunk patch until later, because he would have recolored it.
He had the chance to right here. Yeah.
If it's the same character and not just a bystander who looks similar.
And his name's Sharona Jackson.
Oh wait, so that's actually established. Her name's Sharona Jackson.
Shows her name underneath her.
Oh, that's definitely Rapture then.
Yeah, looks like Rapture's name's Sharona Jackson.
What fucking issue was her origin story? I'm trying to scrub through and find it.
You can look for that. I can buy you some time. The sketch gallery stuff is fan-fucking-tastic. And there's just all kinds of cool, weird fucking characters. You get to see the early, Savage Dragon shit he did as a kid. Like, as much of it as he had. I think he says he has... When you open the sketch gallery section, you see the very first picture of Savage Dragon that he ever made that he can find. And it's like from 1976. Dude, it looks nothing like Paul. It's absolutely Flash Mercury. Like, It is just, dude, and it is not like, you know how like the Paul Dragon stuff, like where he's on the beach drawing in crayon? It kind of still has the Eric look. Dude, the drawing in here that like kicks off the sketch section, it looks like
it's kind of bubbly.
Yeah, very bubbly. You've seen it. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. It's awesome. And then I always say Savage Dragon is a great, resource for cartoonists. Like, if you're a cartoonist, you should read this shit. And he's got even a thumbnail gallery, which I don't do it, but a lot of really good professional comic artists thumbnail a page before they do a baseball card size sketch to get a rough idea of the flow of the layout before they do a full size layout or whatever. And so, like, there's references even for stuff like that. And I remember when he was prepping for this, he was like, how much of this stuff do you guys really even care about? And we were like, put it all in. Dude, yeah. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's pretty exhaustive.
Well, I hope it sold well. I know I looked at Organic Price Books and it's on back order now, so they sold through their lot. I know In Stock Trades had like a sale for like $20, which was insane.
Holy shit!
For like a week. It was like last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it looked like on the kayfabe page, like a lot of people were gonna pick it up that had wanted to try Dragon. So I hope
I can say
it is sold out. I guess I shouldn't have slept.
I can say that I cannot imagine a first-time reader leaving this and not liking it. Like, seriously.
Well, we got 20 volumes to get through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you better buy it.
Okay, real-time confirmation. Freak Force number 6, we get Rapture's origin. She does not have a skunked hair until after she comes out of the machine.
Oh, cool.
Which matches this.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd never realized that. That's a first. Learn something new.
In
every
fact,
podcast.
it kind of makes sense because I believe the way the chronology works is she's a prostitute. She hates her pimp. She gets captured for experiments, gets given her powers, and then she immediately goes to kill her pimp. Because she has powers. And that's when Ricochet stops her.
I believe you are correct.
So all of those events can totally happen within the span of the miniseries and her first appearance in Dragon. Second appearance in Dragon.
I believe you're correct, yeah. Yeah, I learned something. Like I said, I had no idea. Like when I very first saw her without the skunk patch getting interviewed, I was like, what the fuck? I've never seen this page. So, yeah, it was a treat. I mean, I get it. If you're a Savage Dragon Finhead who has not missed the trades.
And it wasn't Johnny Redbeard, it was Dr. Nirvana.
Oh,
right.
That's right. Yeah, the other point of contention I saw Finheads talking about is they thought that issue 0 should be included here.
I could see the argument, but no, absolutely not.
Dude, I'm going to say after reading it, it's too much. It would not have worked. Like, honestly, like, I know it's kind of impossible for us to say since we came in at it being introduced so many years later. Like, we think of it as only being good, but after like reading this for the show, they spend so much time like, oh, where are you from? And if you're the reader,
it ruins all the fun.
Yeah,
if you don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be so much better to not know.
It's such a huge like part of the book for a while.
That was reprinted in issue 150, I believe, and I think that's the perfect place to put it.
Yeah,
you could do it like right before Kerr.
Right before Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is it in here? I thought it was in here. No, that's Daredevil. Oh, it is in here. Yes, it was reprinted in 150, and 150 is where you get to the very end, and Dragon gets his brains eaten and then blasted by Overlord. So that's where Kerr needs to be established before he's introduced properly in the comic. So issue 0 should come right after 150.
Yeah, I agree, and new readers should not start with issue 0.
He'll probably add that as a backup story in whatever volume that comes around in.
I'll just echo the sentiment that you said earlier,
8.
dude. I really hope these are fantastic. I really hope that we get the full run. I mean, just like I know the market.
Well, if it's selling out through all the big box retailers, I think that's a good sign.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And again, you got Curtin in there to support it, and it's like, dude, just if people just pay attention, it's like people know Kirkman's name over anyone in comics.
I think most of the hard work is done with like the design. You can reuse a lot of the design now. And I mean, let's face it, the books have been done. He's got all, for the older stuff at least, he should have all the files. I mean, I can't imagine
it should be
the cost being too much besides the printing costs.
Should be much smoother sailing.
Hopefully. I mean, fucking here's hoping. So, we'll see.
I mean, they might just get a little more expensive as time goes on, as less and less are printed. But, I mean, if you look at those hardcovers back in the day with like 5 issues, they were like $60-$70 for some of them.
Holy shit.
It was pretty crazy. Like, the price, like, we don't know how good we have it now, you know, with like omnibus and stuff like that being like $80. Like, my hardcover Savage Dragons were like seriously like 5 issues a piece, and some of them were at the MSRP or whatever was like $50-$60.
Yeah,
because it was such a limited like thing.
That's rough. That's a bitter pill to swallow. No, dude.
Yeah, and those are like you're only selling to diehard fans at that price point, and that was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy. Like, think about that.
I mean, it's
I
a
wish
whole
I
different.
had it in front of me to look at what the prices were, but I think they started off like $30-$40, and then as they got on, they were like 60.
It's a whole different market. I mean, Savage Dragon has been trapped in the direct market for 30 years. And yes, there's been trades, but it's like, I mean, you know, omnibuses are the big mover right now, even over just graphic novels. So it's like, it's fantastic that it can have a new number. It can get into that bookstore ecosystem, you know, have a life in Amazon and stuff, which is before, like, you know, it's not ever gonna. So
it's crazy how much omnibuses have caught on in the past like 2 years. I want to say, like, it went to being just like I don't know, like you do like the classic 1960s Marvels or stuff that was like old, and now it's like I'm looking at, you know, an omnibus for Cosmic Ghost Rider or something. It's like, holy shit, like everything is getting the omnibus treatment, and people are just snapping them up. It's pretty insane.
I think it's the if people are going to spend money on this shit, they just want it to last. Or at the very least, if they're not going to keep it, it could be something that, like, if they were to give it away or sell it or whatever, it'd be something someone would want. Like, a lot of this stuff, even the trades, like, just on the, like, small, like, graphic novel trades, the fucking glue comes out of the spine. Pages come loose and stuff. It gets shitty with almost no time, you know?
It's just crazy to me, though. It's like I like the omnibus, and most of my stuff is like 60s and 70s stuff. Like the old stuff. I mean, basically because that's all I like from Marvel at this point. But it seems amazing to me that, like, new stuff is constantly getting churned out into omnibus, and people just buying. Like, I don't know where people fit all this stuff. Like, you've got to have a massive shelf.
Well, remember, if they're only buying omnibuses and deluxe collections, they don't have the long boxes. The long boxes taking up half the room. They got a lot more space. I think the idea is the omnibuses are actually a space saver.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good way.
I guess for me, I just end up getting rid of my comics once I'm like, I don't keep them forever, and I only keep collections of like the stuff I really want.
I don't like omnibuses. I think they are too big. In fact, I'm looking at that Ghost Rider omnibus you were talking about. The thing's literally 850 pages. That thing is unwieldy.
Yeah.
I would much rather have these deluxe hardcovers just for being able to lift them and read while on the shitter.
Yeah, but the problem with that, though, I mean, like, I'm thinking Savage Dragon 20 volumes. That's going to be massive too. But I mean, I see it both ways. It's a good price point.
Do you have all the archives?
Yeah.
Well, then toss all the archives.
Those are black and white.
I know, they're worth keeping.
Those are actually in a long box.
But no, it's pretty regular. And, the other thing I was going to say about omnibuses, I'm actually going to have to buy one next year, which I'm not looking forward to, because Marvel has finally deigned to release cross-gen comics in omnibus format.
Oh, cool.
So I have to actually support it to show interest in cross-gen. So I have to shell out $100 goddamn dollars for this goddamn thing.
That's wild. So is there still a big, like, audience for that stuff?
I mean, I'm 350 pounds.
I mean, it's Jesus. But I'm just saying, like, it's so many years after the fact that, like, it's a wild move for Marvel, like, that they think that they can.
You have big names though, like George Perez and
huge names. Yeah. The book's coming out
Busey.
the book they're coming out with is Sigil, and Sigil's names are not as big as some of their other options they could have went with. One of the best looking books they ever did was Scion. That one has art by oh god damn it, what's his name? Hold on, going crazy.
Fake fan.
I guess with that, it's just that it's all reprinted material anyway.
It's all reprinted material, yeah.
They're just making money.
Jim Chung drew Scion, and Jim Chung's a great artist. Did a lot of Avengers at Marvel for a while. That seems like.
How does that work with that stuff? I mean, they don't have the original files, I'm assuming, for all that stuff.
Well, here's the thing about CrossGen. Remember, I'm a bit of a CrossGen mark. CrossGen was one of the first innovators in the digital comic space. They were, in fact, part of their downfall was they were too far ahead of the curve on digital comics. So they digitized everything. And so presumably all of those files are still out there available. I can tell you from experience, Marvel just put out a reprint book called CrossGen Tales. See, apparently Marvel puts out a monthly book called Something Tales, where it's like a 4 or 5 issue reprint of just something that's like a theme together. So they just they had a spot in their schedule, and they made a CrossGen one that had like 5 first issues, and it looked fine. It looked great. It looked just like compared to the original issues that I got, same print quality. It's fine. So they've got all those files, and CrossGen was also one of the biggest innovators of digital coloring, and so every single one of their books looks amazing. So I don't expect reproduction is going to be a problem with CrossGen.
I remember Ruse looked good.
It did. It
looked really good.
Bruce Geist, I think, did that.
Butch Geist or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
It looked good though.
But
that he worked on Megaton.
He did. Yes. I believe so.
Yeah.
But it is and my next point is that there's kind of like there's a pipeline to comics now. There's a very like almost strict, anything that's popular follows this trend. First you get the single issues, then you get the 5 or 6 issue trade, then you get the 12 or 15 issue deluxe hardcover, and then you get the omnibus collecting like 25 to 50 issues. And ever since Walking Dead, Invincible, Saga, most of your big popular titles all follow this trend because all the money in comics is based on selling you the same thing twice. And so keeping things in print in various formats, in bookstores in particular, is where all these publishers make their money. That's why you can never get rid of the single issue monthly, because the single issue monthly is what pays for all your production costs, so you can make profit on everything that follows, reprint wise.
Trailblazer Kirkman. That was him. He started that.
He sure did. Walking Dead is the format that everybody is copying.
Your single issues is what's going to attract your collectors too. The guys that are going to buy multiple copies of variants and
sure.
know,
trade paperbacks don't have the collectability.
But although I would say people that collect the omnibus do now. I'm seeing that more.
Well, omnibuses are more limited run, so there are fewer of them, which I guess would make them more collectible.
It's crazy.
It's fucking just good that comics are just able to do, any kind of numbers these days in any kind of medium. Like, I'm just happy to see it in bookstores, past the direct market. I wish they would collect this shit in small manga size, Fucking
CrossGen tried that too. That's part of what bankrupted them.
Did they?
Yeah.
Kirkman tried it with Tech Jacket.
Yep.
Did he?
Awesome. CrossGen is like a perfect example of all the things all of your ideas they likely tried, and it led directly to their death.
Yeah.
I wonder, like you said, though, if they were just too early, because now manga is so much bigger than it was.
Manga was pretty hot in 2005. The second big anime manga. It was the second anime wave and the first manga wave.
Did CrossGen do those in color or black and white though?
Color. They were color. They were digest size.
Yeah, that's your fuck up right there.
But I also think kids, they just want the Japanese shit, man. They don't want American.
Should have been black and white. Should have been black and white.
That's the
They're
thing.
not going to be fooled.
There's not as much crossover as you'd hope.
Should have been black and white.
Yeah, but I mean, people complain about the archives being in black and white.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different format.
Are manga readers going to read Savage Dragon just because it's in black and white?
No, they wouldn't read it because of the art style. They would be like, "What is this?"
Even though it looks just like JoJo. This is the North Star.
Backhanded. Those are not known to be attractive books. No, that's fine. You know what? I don't know if it has manga appeal or not. I mean, maybe it does. Every time I tell anybody about it, this is the frustrating thing about trying to sell this shit for 10 years.
Yeah, just tell them it's America's One Piece. That'll help.
Anybody I tell about this gets excited and thinks it's great. And then they all do the same fucking thing. They all rush to number one.
Uh-huh.
And this is like a 90s book. It's like, no shit, dude. You bought a book from
Tracy.
You bought a book from 1992. What the fuck did you think it was going to read like? Like, god damn.
I feel like
also,
those early issues in Gang War, though, have so many parallels to things like One Punch Man or Kuniku Man, where just goofy, it's serious and yet goofy and just off-the-wall characters that...
It's all the things people love about the... Dude, when it's My Hero... When people are flipping, oh, look, this guy's got a brain. His brain's out. And it's like, yeah, dude, you should read goddamn Savage Dragon.
I've seen that 5
6
times.
Dudes. Yeah, 6
Gorilla
dudes.
Hitler with a brain.
Yeah, man. And it's just like, you're exactly correct. Is it like wacky character designs, like funny moments, like, oh, it's like a superhero book, but... And it's like, yeah, you should have been reading Savage Dragon.
Sexy moments.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking... Kirkman talks about it. He's like...
Tentacles.
He's like, I was reading this in 92. He's like, and it just felt like the future. And I'm like, Kirkman fucking saw it? Like, fucking... I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing.
hard.
I think that, anyone new reading this Ultimate Collection is not going to get that same feeling. There weren't that many comics like Savage Dragon on the stands. It was really, racy for the time. Like when you were a kid and you were like seeing, Rapture side boob, you're like, holy shit. Like this is crazy. Like this is what I want in a superhero. Like this is kind of like real life, kind of outlandish,
Oh,
Dragon in a puddle of blood.
Right. Blood, like you were saying.
I get what you're saying, and I agree that you're correct. But there were a lot of DC books that came out in the wake of Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns that were doing that racy stuff. Mature reader books were kind of in vogue between 86 and 92. But they didn't have the mass appeal that Image brought.
Were they playing it straight superhero? Like
right.
Some of them.
A superhero book with that shit. And that's what Larson always says, is he's like, it's to bridge the gap between Vertigo and DC. He's like,
right.
Like Dragon's that middle
Marvel,
ground.
yeah.
He's like, you've got superhero stuff, but then you've got mature content stuff. And it's like, yes, dude, that's fucking, that's the same thing. People, even today, it works. People watch Invincible and they're like, oh my God, his dad went crazy and like beat him up. And it's like, yes.
Yeah, I read that 15 years ago.
But see, it's such the norm now.
I was pretty excited about it then too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't hand my kids a superhero comic these days. Like I just can't, because there's nothing that's like geared towards a 10-year-old these days in superhero comics, unless you go to the kids section. But kids don't want books that are geared, like they want, like when you were a kid, you just wanted to read books, like, and there wasn't anything really racy until like things like Savage Dragon came out, and it was like, and you didn't even know what you were getting into until you opened the pages,
Mm-hmm.
And now that's just kind of normal.
I've read a few current Marvel books in the last few months, and you could hand a kid most of those comics.
So here,
I would Chainsaw Man.
They're like super, like when my kid probably handle it now, but when he was like 7 or 8, I would open it like a Marvel book. They would be like Wolverine would be like stabbing through people. It'd be like ultra violent, and it's like that was just the norm, And it's like you could give him maybe an issue, but he couldn't collect it because like you don't know the next issue was going to have something, And it was just, I mean, comics weren't like that until maybe mid 90s. I feel like right around the Image stuff. Like you could collect New Warriors or Sleepwalker or like when I started really collecting, none of those books were like ultra violent or there weren't really many.
Very tame, yeah.
I collected New Warriors, Guardians of the Galaxy, Silver Surfer, Amazing Spider-Man, and like Sleepwalker and Darkhawk maybe. None of those. Like you look at all those books now, they're pretty tame.
I heard you like the dark cock.
Yes, Dark Hawk.
I was what was I?
Dark Hawk.
I was 12 years old in 95, and I was reading Age of Apocalypse, and those books had body counts. And
see, that's after, like, now they're trying to like match, that stuff that came after the Image guys, and it started to take a turn.
Oh yes, they absolutely. Image kind of set where people were like, "Uh-oh, we got to have red blood. We got to have Wolverine."
When you're 10 to 15, you kind of want that in your fiction, though. Remember, I was a reader. I'm a book reader. I read The Stand at like 14 years old. Everything I know about sex, I learned from The Stand and Stephen King.
Stephen King just like, the kids will love this.
I guess I know, like, my son, like, he's just not I was exposed to that stuff early. I don't know if that's good or bad. My son has not been as much, and so like ultra violent stuff, like, it's too, like, he has to ease into it, and like I couldn't just give him a copy of Savage Dragon. He would just be like, what the fuck?
Get him Fist of the North Star. That's how I got. I was like, God
heads.
Damn, blood geysers fucking everywhere.
I mean, I was introduced to the video game first.
Even popular manga, Shonen Jump, like freaking My Hero Academia, can be pretty violent.
Dude, Chainsaw Man, fucking
Chainsaw Man it may be in Jump. It may have started in Jump, but Chainsaw Man is definitely an older teen book.
It's unbelievable. I was reading that and I was just like, God damn, the end of the first thing, he gets cut into pits and thrown in a dumpster.
Yeah.
There was a fucking double-page spread of lesbian scissoring. I was like, what the fuck?
That did run in a comic book that has One Piece in it. So that now the first half of the series did. The second half is in a different book now. It is definitely considered a mature reader's story now versus what
warning,
it was.
You might get boners reading this, children, and not know what the fuck is happening to your body. It's definitely, we're in a post-Image world, man. Shit's a lot more violent. They say fuck on TV. I'm just saying, it's like everything changed, dude. You remember like when Ninja Turtles saying "damn" was a cuss word?
Yeah.
Now I was watching the Game Awards and this chick was getting interviewed. She's like, "Oh, sorry, my words are slurred. I'm fucked up." And I was like, "Whoa!"
Really?
And then she sings her song, and she's like, the first three lyrics are like, "Yeah, I don't care if you fuck me," and I'm like, "What the hell? What is this song I'm hearing?"
Do you guys remember how mind blowing it was when Spike swore on the Transformers movie?
Didn't he
You
also
guys
say damn?
old enough?
I didn't experience.
Damn or shit at something like that. I think he said shit. Man,
Had
I
to
don't
be
know. It was
damn.
like,
I think
There's
he
no
said-
way it was shit. There's no way.
I think it was damn. I think damn gets said twice in that movie. Once by Ultra Magnus
Maybe.
and one by Spike.
Raphael said "damn," and I remember you'd have thought a Ninja Turtle said "cunt." Like, just fucking ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know what line of thought we're working towards, but
Yeah, where are we? What are we? What
no,
are we
Mike
talking
said.
about?
Spike says shit.
He does. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the full line? This
Oh
shit's
shit!
gotta
What are we
stop.
gonna do now? Ultra Magnus says, "Damn it, open."
Transformer says shit.
The movie.
It's the movies. Movies
I
remained
live-
different back then. Hey, remember? Well, this might. Oh boy, continuity time.
Uh-oh.
I can't. I don't know if this will happen in the past or the future, but at some point in the retro podcast, Raven is going to talk to me about a movie called Trancer, and I watched it the night before we recorded this episode, which may or may not come out before or after when we talk about it in the retro.
It's
That
perfect
movie-
for the time traveling nature of Trancer.
But that movie has the usage of fuck a couple times, and the way they treat it is like it's like they throw it out there like it's oh my goodness, I can't believe he said the dirty word in this sci-fi fantasy movie.
Fuck. Oh my god.
Oh my god,
Is
Now,
everyone taken
I feel
aback?
so naughty.
You watch your mouth, mister. We might be trying to stop a maniac, but we're not maniacs ourselves.
Movies are
I
just
don't-
weird with language in that time period in the 80s.
It was the FCC. Like, everything was treated different. Like, now we get the internet, and so, like, I think they realize that kids are on YouTube watching YouTubers be like, pussy fart while they play Minecraft.
Yeah, gamer words have changed the game.
That's why I'm afraid to play anything online. I don't want to get, like, berated by a 10-year-old.
10-year-old using the N-word. It's like, stop. Children, where did you learn this? You are going to hell. PewDiePie. That's where they learned it. They learned it from PewDiePie.
That's right. PewDiePie did say the N-word. He dresses
multiple times.
Oh.
Multiple times.
Said who, Craig? Don't worry about who.
Yeah.
No, I said ooh.
Oh, ooh. There was something else. Guys, oh my God, pause.
Jim said, don't worry about who.
No,
just shut up, old man. Just stay in your corner.
Check it out.
We're talking video games.
I know this is random and is going to feel like it has no connection to anything, but dear listeners, I have an important Savage FINcast correction.
Okay.
We owe Mr. Eric Larson an apology. See, my TV died. Do you know what this is?
Are you talking about?
I doubt you do. My TV died, and so I had to go get a new TV, right?
Okay.
Do you remember the Savage Dragon issue we read where he turns off the TV and the TV does the pew?
Yeah.
Bro, my new TV does that.
Really?
Oh, really?
I bought a 4K TV, and when you turn it off, the fucking picture shrinks, turns white, and then the lines come to the center, and it's boop.
Oh, I
Just
wonder.
like a fucking.
Are you sure someone didn't sell you a CRT TV?
No, I think they programmed it to do that to invoke the retro feel.
Yeah, and when you turn it on, it does it in reverse. It's like.
It's just showing off.
Yeah, dude. Which, of course, you know, CRTVs never did. You'd turn it on, and the image would slowly warm up and appear.
I thought you were going to say something else about our screw up on the different variants we talk about in another episode, but let's not get into that.
We don't have to. I will say I'm proud that I saw through my pervision saw through the editing. I was like, no, we don't have to get into that. But when I turned this TV off, and it for the first time, and it went, pew.
Did
it make the noise too?
It doesn't make a noise, but it's, dude, you hear it.
After the hum
in your head, you hear it. Like after a lifetime of like.
Do you remember when we used to turn TVs on and like you just hear all the static?
Yep. Well,
no, not this, but I mean actual static electricity. Like you could hear.
Yeah, you rub your finger across it, it zaps you.
Yeah. You
said the same thing, dude. You could run your fingers and it'd be like.
Well, even less so now, but it's still if a TV's on in another room but you can't hear the sound, you can usually hear the electricity humming. It was more pronounced with CRTs, but even with LCDs, I think I could still sense them through the walls.
Sense them through the walls?
Yeah, wait, so you never had that feeling
of
a TV on in the other room and you just kind of feel the electricity?
No.
No, you're good.
That's not a thing.
Latent mutant power.
Yeah, dude. Kind of useless, but still.
CRT man.
I can sense electronic devices in my proximity.
In the next room.
Yeah.
You're like that, like a computer speaker when you turn it on, it goes tick 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 tick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I just thought I gasped. I fucking gasped when I turned this TV off and it did. I was like, oh, he was right. I felt like I learned that Eric has a Samsung. I was like, oh, fucking Eric must have a Samsung.
No, he's just doing shorthand.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's a follow-up question. God damn, dude.
So which way do you guys want to go with this now?
Well, it's December. It's been 30 years of Image celebrating all year, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think Image celebrated it appropriately?
I'm going to say no.
No? You don't think it was enough?
No, I don't think they did enough.
No.
Not at all.
Did all the Spawn books launch this year, or was that last year?
I think it's this.
Yeah, it was this summer, right? They did all that Scorched and Spawn Universe shit.
King Spawn and all that bullshit. No, I don't
So
think
I think
anybody.
McFarlane did it right. I think he's
Yes.
smart. They just had like a thing where Spawn is on like every cover of every Image book.
Yes.
Except
yes. Yeah, except for auspiciously missing. I think I agree with Craig. I think fucking McFarlane did it right. I brought this up, and what's funny is people got at my ass. They were like, "Well, McFarlane's just a different kind of guy. He's just more." It's like, no, bro. Listen, no one respects the hustle and the fucking grind of Canada caveman McFarlane like me. I mean, that guy's fucking constantly on. He never rests. You know, I think that like if he was fucking, if his baby was being born, he'd be telling the doctor about Spawn. You know, I thought I'd name this baby after my world record-breaking comic Spawn, but I guess I lost a coin toss. Anyway, Sexy Spawn Sunday. But, like, dude, there's just no hustle. But I mean, I'm saying, like, as a company, there's no hustle. We needed to have invincible representation.
Well, there was Skybound X had
Skybound X was
Battle
last year,
Beast.
though.
Was that last year?
Well, that's the thing. Skybound X, I think, was a thing from
No,
last year.
not the one standalone issue.
Oh.
Skybound X. There was Skybound whatever it was. Was that X? No, it was something else. Where
It
they
wasn't
had the
enough.
anthology series, but
It
this
wasn't
year they
enough.
had just Skybound X.
It wasn't.
It was one. It was a one shot
Was it a one?
I'll stand by what I'm saying.
with Battle Beast.
No.
Dude.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so yeah, I didn't realize this. So Skybound X ran 5 issues last year, and then Skybound X 25 came out this year with the Battle Beast story.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a funky way of doing things, but actually,
Right.
I think it must be a reference to when. Remember when was it Liefeld? It must have been Liefeld. What was the series? Bloodstrike, not Bloodstrike. Bloodstrike Brutalies. Sorry,
when he came back and just recontinued his books, so he did.
Well, I think at some point Bloodstrike jumped from whatever issue it was to issue 25, and then like
no, it didn't. They
was
had
a
a bunch of
gimmick.
issues, and then Tim Seeley drew a bunch of issues the same time that like
this was back in the
McFarlane
90s.
came out with Supreme. Oh, then I don't know.
Let me just verify this. See, Bloodstrike 1993. Yeah, I feel like there was a thing where Bloodstrike, like really early on, like in the teens, suddenly like put out issue 25, which
Like
had a bunch
Into
of like
the Future.
Into the Future, and then they went back and they backfilled all the issues
All right,
to
you could
that.
be right on that. That
And I
sounds
think,
familiar.
and that makes me think this Skybound X is a direct reference to that.
To
Gotcha.
jog your memory, Craig, that was the whole reason Fife did his
Yeah,
issue was to continue. It never got continued.
right. He filled in issues 23 and 24, I believe.
That's why he did the Brutalists to fill in the gap that never
Right.
got finished.
Right. So because
Gotcha.
Bloodstrike continued till issue 22, stopped. So you never got those 2 issues to actually bridge the gap to issue 25, which is what Fife came in to do.
Gotcha.
It's goofy, but it explains why this Skybound X is issue 25.
I'm just going to repeat what I said, though.
So-
dude, they didn't do enough.
Right,
No.
but have both or either of you read Image exclamation point?
Yes.
No.
Not every story, but I've collected it and read a few of them.
So I wasn't immediately interested in it, but I did end up buying a bunch of issues and finally started reading them. Image, the series, Image exclamation point, is actually the independent, creator-owned anthology series I've always wanted.
Okay.
Because I'm a big fan of anthologies. I love anthologies. I'm a big 2000 AD guy, a big Shonen Jump guy. But I always have trouble with anthologies for American English. I just have trouble with anthologies in North America. Primarily because a lot of anthologies just do a lot of done-in-one stories. And when you have a lot of done-in-one stories, there's no hook to keep you coming back for the next issue.
Okay, sure.
Image, the 12-issue celebration series, has a bunch of serialized stories in it. And every one of them ends on cliffhangers. Most of them are structured to keep me coming back issue after issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine it was easy to organize because of the of all the realities of creator-owned comics. Is because whoever put it together must have been a saint, because I mean we had heard so many casts to get our anthology off the ground, but to do it for 12 issues for an entire year, that's nuts.
What I do like about the anthology is it's a mix of old and new. The Image one, the new one. I at first was like, I'm not so sure about this. It seemed like a lot of guys I just wasn't in, didn't know them, well at all. But there's a couple of really cool stories. I mean, the Tim Seeley one we were talking about is kind of a love letter to early '90s comics, where he pulls out like all the Super Patriot and Bloodstrike and those guys, Shadowhawk, and he writes them really well. And then Joe Casey and Nathan Fox have a Dutch comic. Do you remember that Dutch, the guy with like the techno shit all over his head? That's a fun ass comic strip in this anthology too. And then there's like a lot of like new shit that's kind of cool. Even like Dean Haspel's got his stuff in there. That's another older one. But there's some good new stuff in there as well.
And that's part of why I liked it, because it did have, yes, the familiar stuff, but it also had the new stuff that could very well stand on its own and been its own comic.
And it's a huge mix. There's black and white stuff. There's color.
I don't feel like it was solicited. Like, are they making any noise about this?
No. Oh, and there was some Radiant Black stuff in there too. So like new superhero comics, old superhero comics, no superhero comics, non-hero comics. But there was no real fanfare. I feel like the Image like marketing department stinks. Like,
yeah, sure.
I am a huge Image Comics fan, and I am surprised when shit comes out. Like, I'm like, I didn't know that was coming out. Like, why the hell don't they put house ads in more, or a checklist of things, or you know what I mean? Like, just why do they wait to promote things until like the week before it goes on sale? Like,
or I'll give you
where
another one.
is the hype on this stuff? I don't understand it.
I'll give you another one, something I've been saying forever, and I know that like the answer before I even ask it is somebody say, well, that might step on Diamond's toes. Hey, I fucking doubt it. So but here goes anyway. Remember 5-page previews? Collect all the fucking 5-page previews and put them up as a free PDF on the internet. Bammo. That'll be a thing. That's like, if you add all those little 5-pagers for every single Image thing, there's your fucking anthology. And it's not like the same as an anthology, but it's to give you a fucking taste of all the books Image has coming out in a month, and like to try and just generate hype. Like,
yeah. The one thing when Eric was a publisher, he had like a bullpen page, which I always thought was cool. I like those things with like the checklist and a spotlight on something every week, a little write up, like build some community with like the Image Comics people. Like, I don't know, like it's so like, I don't know. I know a lot of people are kind of like annoyed with it. I'm pretty sure like Michelle Fife was pretty annoyed with the way like Copra was handled and stuff. I don't want to speak for him because I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm insinuating based on some of the stuff I've seen, but I know like I feel like some creators are hyped up that already like are, household names, and then you've got other creators that just don't get the hype or the push, and it's like, why? Like, what? I don't know. Maybe they got limited resources, and that's the problem. But it just seems like there's lots of free avenues to like push this stuff.
I think that if you have even just a podcast, I mean, goddamn, an official Image podcast where someone, staff,
dude, they could bring in every one of their creators in
and just talk about their book. Bada bing. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time while I draw, while I drive.
That would probably, in truth, be the most effective marketing tool.
Do it an email newsletter.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Jim, you say that, but dude, thanks to the collapse of social media, newsletters have gone the fuck up.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Dude, I get constant email things on like for all the record labels I follow. Sure. And thank God, like when I get a notice, an email, oh, this new record's coming out, I jump on to go get like the first, like whatever, like it's a limited edition record that I like or something like that. Like I jump on it and they make that sale that I would not know of otherwise.
I do follow a single band's email newsletter. So You're not wrong.
I don't know. It doesn't take much.
You
could actually just make a newsletter on the website and just link it up. I mean,
a blog, regular posted blog post.
I just don't get it. Like, there's just no effort when I look at it. I'm like,
well, you got to remember Image's whole premise. Image's whole premise is it's a place for creators to go to have control, and part of having control is having control of your own self promotion. And so,
but let me say, I digress. If I'm in charge of my own self promotion, then there's no reason to have an image. Like, to have an image eye on the cover is not just for fun and clout. It's like they should handle just like some of this free marketing that you could do, which is to say, listen, I mean, there's not even like we have to be hypothetical about this. Comic collectives have existed since dial-up. So I've been part of several comic collectives, and it helps. You want to know what it helps? It's strength in numbers. Common sense, right? So it's like, okay, if you're part of this comic collective, Image Comics, and they're not doing anything to represent the collective, then you're still on your own, basically. And it's like, that's not good, especially when there's all kinds of free things you can do. You got a YouTube channel? All right, even if it's not popping, you could put stuff on it. You know, you got a Twitter account with like a million followers or something. What is it? It's not a million though, isn't it? Isn't it like 600,000 or something? But like I'm saying, that's more than Joe Blow has. There are guys that have image books that have like, 3,000 followers and stuff. If an account like Images like tweeted their shit and was like, hey, this is coming out, like, don't miss it. It's going to be great. Even if you don't feel that way, just gas it up, because it is part of the company. If these books do good, Image does good. There's an incentive to promote the books.
Do you think their marketing person is a full-time person?
That might be the problem. It might be just a random staffer. Hey, Ginger, go grab the Twitter.
Well, they have a PR person, like,
right,
with a title. I'm just wondering if it's like a part-time. I don't think they have an office staff anymore. I think everything is remote at this point.
And this is all I'll say. We'll take it all the way back to did they do enough for the 25th anniversary? Hey, look, man, like I'm saying as an Image fan, as somebody who loves Image, part of why I love
You mean
Image,
30th anniversary.
30th anniversary, yeah. Right. As somebody who fucking loves Image, part of what I originally loved is just that it felt cohesive, even though it was a bunch of different guys. And so it's like, even though you can't really make Radiant Black and what is it, Ice Cream Man? You can't make those two books necessarily fit in the same like continuity. You could have just the overall Shonen Jump excitement of like, hey, every one of these Shonen Jump titles, it's a Shonen Jump title. Like that right there is immediately lets you know. It's like you might not know fucking shit about Dr. Stone. But if you know it's a Shonen Jump title, you immediately know that it's probably good because you like other Shonen Jump titles like Dragon Ball and One Piece and all this shit. It could be the same way with Image. Like it could be like, hey, you might not fucking necessarily want to read Radiant Black, but if you like Invincible, yeah, you probably do, want to read it. Just a little effort, extra 10%, whatever. But no, I don't think they did enough. I get the question. This is the follow-up question. What would you guys have liked to have seen them do, for their 30th anniversary? What would have been nice? Just a would have been.
I mean, it's
more
a hard
Savage
question.
Dragon comics.
Yes. It's a hard thing to ask because, again, you got to think of Image as what they are. Image can't do anything without having creators come to them with their own projects. Image only owns the Image Eye. They can't go out to their creators and say, well, I guess they can go out to their creators and say, hey, we want to do this Image anthology. Do you want to be part of it?
Yeah.
And that's about the most you can do. Or if you want to do a 10th anniversary hardcover, go to your founders and go, hey, we want to do this 10th anniversary hardcover. Who's in? That kind of thing. Did either of you guys remember what they did for their 20th anniversary or 25th? Did they do anything special? I can't recall.
Which one was the hardcover?
That was the 10th. That was the 10th anniversary hardcover
that went to like the 15th.
15th.
I think that's why there's no let's get the Image founders together. They know.
Was
Image United 20?
That's what I was going to ask, yeah.
Maybe.
What year?
So it
had to be around there.
So we're 0 for 2. This is actually the most successful one.
When did they start doing their like Image fan expos?
don't know.
They did that for like a good 5 years, I feel like. They had their own convention.
They don't have a Wikipedia entry, so I can't tell you.
I even think that if they just like did some branding, like, you know, oh, it's our 30th anniversary, just a big golden, you know, like, I don't know, just fucking. when I see things like, here's a trailer for a new Ghost Rider comic,
right?
Or here's a trailer for a new whatever. It's like, hey man, maybe as part of Image is still a company, even though they don't own anything, they're still a company that wants to make money.
Right.
You still need marketing. Any business needs marketing.
Well, let me just say this. This year, Image Comics has put out some amazing comic books. Like, fucking astonishingly good comic books. This has been a great year for Image in terms of just quality books. Just wildly excellent. So that while they may not have promoted themselves very well, they've certainly stepped up their game in terms of quality, I would say, this year.
Fair.
I mean, I've got a list of my favorite comics this year, and 80% of them are Image comics that started this year.
I think my number one favorite Image comic this year was Super Freaks.
You're biased.
No.
It was the most fun to work on, I'll tell you that.
Oh Lord.
Yes. We made the biggest 30th anniversary Image splash. Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm. We did.
For Savage Dragon. At least, you know what? We timed it, so at least we did something fun for Savage Dragon.
I think that was a miracle of our 10th anniversary hitting when it was so needed. when it was needed the most. Like it
I know we podcasted enough about this, but I will say that was a highlight this year. Getting that out is fucking, from beginning of the seeds of this project and talking about it, from it just being a thing we were gonna self-publish and give out as a prize, and not knowing the quality of it, to getting it printed at Image was quite a freaking story. Like, that is an accomplishment.
Yeah, I honestly, like, in terms of like, just the positive feedback we received. Like, I was scared that people were going to be like super shitty, just dunk all over us. And like,
go ahead. Sorry.
I only heard good things.
I just imagine if someone told me, this was going to be an Image comic when we first started thinking about this, I would not have believed it.
Mm-mm. And I think when you look, even, I hate to be shitty, but it is who I am. If you look at like, I think Super Freaks was cooler than Shadowhawk's little thing.
There was another one that's talking about anniversary stuff. The last Shadowhawk. Do you think that was written specifically for the 30th anniversary of Image?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that absolutely
for sure.
was. He wanted to just do something to represent Shadowhawk in the 30th anniversary. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that was 30th anniversary fodder.
You know what I don't hear about? So Valentino did his last Shadowhawk. At the very least, Eric got Super Freaks. Although even if he didn't plan it, he got it. It was our gift to him.
Liefeld remastered his books.
McFarlane, of course, had all those books. What did Liefeld do?
He remastered remember he had a bunch of different artists draw a page of Prophet and maybe something.
I remember
else.
those.
Was it just
You're
Prophet?
Brigade. I feel like Brigade.
Who were those for?
Maybe.
But yes, so he.
Who are those for? You're just asking rhetorically.
Who would
I don't
want
know.
this?
I didn't buy it, but don't.
But
know.
yes, he did do that. I haven't heard anything from the Silvestri camp. Did Top Cow do anything?
He
Are
drew
they
a
even
Batman
still
comic.
around? Like, do they put out?
He drew a goddamn Batman comic.
I'm pretty sure Top Cow comics come out every month. I think
Hold
I
on.
see a Witchblade
Wait a minute.
comic.
Wait
what
a minute.
Top Cow
Cyberforce.
comics?
They did a Cyberforce Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did.
Yeah. they didn't make. I don't think it was anything new. But
it was just like an omnibus, right?
Yep, and I think it was a kickstarted omnibus at that, which chaps my ass a little. Does he need that? Like, that's weird, right? Isn't that weird? That's weird.
Oh, doesn't McFarlane do Kickstarters for his action figures?
Oh yeah, I mean it's weird when he does it, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it's weird. I think it's just a more efficient way to do pre-orders.
Does Top Cow have a book that comes out on the regular?
I thought they did, but you know what? I don't know if I've seen one in a while.
I have not seen one.
I know Witchblade relaunched a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's still going. I don't know what the fuck's going on with the darkness.
Can I just say, I don't ever want to hear you say, Eric's got a publishing company again. If you're going to say Top Cow uses Kickstarter as just an efficient way to do pre-orders.
Well, let me explain that. It's one thing, having a publishing company means you can get the book printed. It doesn't mean you can get the book produced.
Like Top Cow can't get it printed?
You don't know what their status is. Like, as we say, they don't even appear to have any ongoing comics right now. Shadowline's got more.
His model hot wife, he's doing fantastic. Mark Silvestri's doing great.
Well, saying. He's getting all that Deadly Duo money from fucking DC.
Right. He's doing just fine.
Yeah, Batman Deadly Duo is his Image 30th anniversary project.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't want to say that Silvestri's doing good, but let's just say that, like, if you, I don't know, hid in a basket and stabbed him with a katana through the heart, I'm pretty sure his robot head would sprout drone wings and fly to safety back to his mansion, where it would land into the new body to seek revenge. He's rich. He's got rich robot body. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm just saying. He's good. He's good.
But yeah, he's the only one that really didn't do anything, right?
Well, yeah, but again,
I guess he's got the omnibus for Cyberforce.
That's it. That I think. But what about, like, what's funny? You know, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. Jim Lee, have you fallen so far? Can you not fucking even acknowledge that the goddamn thing you were a part of 30 years ago is still going?
Yeah, it's all owned by DC, and he put out Wildcats. He just rebooted Wildcats.
It's true. There is a new Wildcat series, but he's not involved in that one.
But it's still Wildcats.
I'm just saying, get off your golden throne, high atop DC Tower, draw one cover with your bros.
He did for Image United.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, good for him. That was 10 years ago.
I don't care about a Jim Lee cover. He can keep him.
But I mean, he should do something.
Does nothing for me. Bah.
You know, I guess when I wasn't looking, Top Cow just kind of went away. Weird.
No, they're still around.
I mean, they're around.
I think they went away a long time ago.
They're gone?
They
well, they're not gone.
Comic
gone.
I remember.
They're not publishing anything.
Right. Remember, Silvestri and Kirkman worked on that Stealth comic.
Stealth. You're right. There was Top Cow.
So there was Stealth. There was the Witchblade anime. I mean, things are happening.
Raven, the Witchblade anime is almost 20 years old.
I know, but I'm saying they didn't just go away. Like, they did things.
20 years ago.
I'm talking about recently. Witchblade anime was from 2006.
Someone can be born and 20 years old since they did it.
So not 20 years ago is what you're telling me, right? Thank you.
Right.
I was correct. Fucker. You fucking fucker.
Wait a minute. Stealth is actually not Top Cow. The original, like, season, whatever that one shot was where they tested the waters, that was Top Cow. Yeah. But Stealth, the series, was Skybound.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I remember
done with... But the first one was like a pilot. The pilot,
the pilot season one shot. That was Top Cow for sure. But that was also like 10 years before Stealth, the series.
Goddamn, Top Cow's gone? That's a weird world we live in.
I'm not saying it's gone. I'm just saying they aren't publishing anything right now. They're probably just dormant. So it's just weird that they didn't do anything for the 30th when they had the opportunity to pump that gas.
Last time they had solicitation, I'm looking at the Top Cow website, was on their website, looks like April 2021. And they had...
It's not too long ago.
Wow.
I don't know any of these. Helm Grey Castle was the only thing.
I do vaguely remember Siphon being a thing.
The Complete Cyberforce Volume 1 was November 2021. A Cyberforce Talent Hunt 2022.
Huh. Yeah, they're just gone quiet. That's unfortunate. Well, it's not unfortunate because I don't really care, because I don't care about Top Cow. But it is. They were such a, like, they were always there. You could always count on them to be around.
They were prolific.
They were prolific. There was always a Witchblade or Darkness or Tomb Raider comic on
Fathom.
stands. Fathom. And they just stopped coming out at some point.
Weird
Indeed. Because you think of them in the same way you think of McFarlane, that they're just always going to be around.
Boy, there's a guy who just is doing good. You talk about having a drone head. He's got, like, different parts of a drone head. Like, he could, like, modular, man, like, come apart. Like, if you stabbed him in the eye, like, the eye part would just get replaced, you know? I'm saying that McFarlane, man, he's making all the moves. I read, this is a perfect segue into this. I read Spawn versus Batman.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's just horrible. It's awful.
I didn't even realize that came out. Is that a DC book?
Yeah.
It's a one shot, yeah.
And published by DC. Came out this week.
And let this cook your noodle. There were Spawn variants on non-Batman and Spawn comics.
Yep. Yes, there were. It's the whole thing. So there are going to be Spawn covers at Image, and there's going to be Spawn covers at DC.
Yes. Like, what a marketing genius! Like,
what is it on DC?
There are Spawn. So there's Spawn versus Batman, which is an actual full comic,
right?
But there's Spawn and other character variants. Like, I'm walking along the wall and I see Spawn and Superman. I'm like, huh, what's this? I flip it open. It's got nothing to do with Spawn.
He's inside a Superman comic cover, or he's on a
cover.
Superman comic.
They're variant covers.
Just on the cover, nothing.
So he's on the Image variant covers and the DC variant covers.
Yes.
How does he pull that off?
Because he's a fucking magician.
Madonna's bra is
like,
full
does
of powers.
Spawn have that much pull? Like, does it sell that much that they're like, this is a?
Check the text chat, Craig. Got a link for you.
Oh,
yes.
I know.
Spawn has consistently sold tens of thousands of copies over its entire lifetime. It has a very strong buyer base that has always been loyal.
So yeah,
I don't understand why, but it's just always been the case. And so Todd, ever since issue 300, has leveraged that fandom into this big media push.
Dude,
well,
that's what I'm saying is. Go ahead.
I get why, because the books come out consistently. So there's people out there that will buy a book because it comes out consistently, unless it turns to utter dog shit. I mean, that's debatable. I mean, yes, there's it never, like, the quality never kind of dropped. Oh shit, I don't know. Yeah, you're right,
dude. You're seeing all these covers.
It was still professional grade and the way it was printed, and
it looks pretty.
Yeah, listen, there's a Spawn cover for Do a Powerbomb. Fuck.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
What's that? There's a Spawn cover for that?
For Do a Powerbomb, issue 7, yeah.
Oh, shit.
I read Spawn versus Batman, and it's beautiful. I mean, the art is beautiful because it's Capullo pencils. So he's the one doing the shot framing and the composition and stuff, not McFarlane. But it's McFarlane inks over Capullo pencils. And it's, more importantly, it's McFarlane writing. Guys, I'll give you $1 million if you can guess what Spawn is still upset about
his wife.
In this comic.
His wife?
Oh my God. You win. You win. It's still upset about Wanda. God damn.
Jesus.
And like,
well, that's what people like too. It's just like the same, like, oh, like people that just want Savage Dragon as a cop. It's like they're just happy he hasn't changed.
If Savage Dragon
is Wanda still in heaven, or did they resurrect her?
I could try to tell you this story, but you would literally be dumber by the end of the conversation.
Okay.
Like, let's just say that, like, I don't think that this comic actually matters to the continuity of Spawn or Batman.
Gotcha.
It has a nod to the original time they met, but clearly the DC universe has been rebooted since
Several
Spawn.
times.
Yeah, since Spawn met Batman, there have been like 50 crises. So they don't really properly pay attention to anyone's continuity necessarily. Court of Owls is involved. There's dimensions. Like several times there's like, oh, if you stand here, you don't have any powers, Spawn. But if I stand over there, you can kill me because you have your powers back. So you come over here. No, you come over here. And that's a plot point that gets used several times. And I want to die because that's literally shit we did as kids. When I was a kid, I'd be like, well, this is my magic zone. If you come in the magic zone, I can kill you in one punch. So come over here. Well, no, over here I can kill you in one punch. You come over here. No.
Very compelling.
It's horrible. It is horrendous. And Wanda, I just want to spoil it for you, but maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Wanda's in it. I'll just say that. And Spawn's still trying to save that bitch. I hate it. Goddamn, I hate it. I hate it so much.
There are 10 Spawn variants in the DC line. Fucking insane.
That's what I'm saying is, dude is goddamn marketing genius. Like, why is he fucking around with comics? He could do marketing for, like, any product in the world and become a gabillionaire.
And
I'm sure he's rich.
And don't forget, his toy lines do gangbusters. He does all the DC toys now.
And, you know, talking about a 90s costume.
Yes.
You know, people are fine with that.
They love it. In fact, they love it. It's iconic.
But it's not. It's so big. Spikes everywhere, chains, boots. It's like... It is. I mean, it definitely looks different, but...
What's funny?
Fucking giant-ass cape is still, like, fine. Like, people have no problems with that. Fucking mile-long cape.
This is barely related, but there was a comic on Twitter where it was doing a Kickstarter as a new original comic, wink, wink, but it was very much, when I saw it, I said, Blue Spawn. And I was like, this is very much, and then they had a variant by, like, Capullo, and it was clear that Capullo had just drawn Spawn, and they colored it blue. Like, he's so in the shadows, but, like, that you can't see any Spawn insignias, but it's just a cape and, like, spires and shit. And then I was like, God damn, this is, like, borderline copyright theft. Like, how is this legal? And then I scrolled up. They had a poll on their Twitter, and it said, who would win in a fight? Blue Hawk or Spawn?
Is that what they're called? Blue Hawk?
Nah, I was just making up I didn't want to call anybody out, you know?
Okay.
I just want to see a Spawn cover where his cape is just, like, covering the other character. Just blown over the other character.
All I know is that I think McFarlane should be in charge of Image's marketing department. And I think that he should, like, promote, because he's like the promotion genius. How in the goddamn fuck?
Yeah, but he would just piss people off. He would say shit and get everyone all fired up.
Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely doing something right he keeps his Spawn character in the spotlight continuously.
And that's
against all odds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you make your character appear prolific, people will believe he's popular.
30 years of Wanda and Clown and Violator and Malbolgia.
Say the line, Bart.
What is it?
No, it's a Simpsons reference.
No, I know but I mean, what's McFarlane line?
His line is just keep doing the same thing he's been doing for 30 years.
Yeah.
I hope we're right, though. Like, I hope it's just I don't read the comic and don't know, and I'm like, people that shit on Savage Dragon, doing this.
But I read Spawn versus Batman this evening.
It's the same shit.
And it was horrible. I mean, it was bad writing, like bad jokes.
I do hear, like, Scorched and some of those other spin-off books are okay. And the art actually looked pretty good in Scorched. I might actually take a look at that if it ever goes on sale, but I'm not in a hurry.
Here's the thing:
like, what's left now? Like, what? Scorched, King Spawn, the Gunslinger, and regular Spawn. Is that what he's got?
King Spawn.
Yeah.
There's Scorched, King Spawn, Spawn the Gunslinger. By the way, they're referenced in the Batman Spawn crossover.
Oh, they are. Okay.
It's like of course, because it's sales, it's marketing. You know, you got to get them in there, right? But like, I'm going to make you guys read that. You know,
okay.
Can I just say this? This is the difference. Are you ready? I feel like I could give you an individual issue of Savage Dragon, and you could read it, and even if you didn't like it, you would find some quality to it that was good, right? I feel like if I give you any random issue of Spawn, not only is it going to be the same as the other random issues of Spawn, but you are going to run into some clunky goddamn bullshit. I mean, I don't know how you drag down. Capullo art is incredible. I don't know how you drag down. I'm reading this, and I'm like, God damn, this is pretty cool looking. And then I'm like, oh, this is so bad. There's a line where they're trying to find leads. Spawn and Batman are both trying to hunt down leads, and it leads them both to the Joker, right?
Okay.
And Joker says, "Oh, you guys misheard. They weren't saying Joker. They were saying Joe Kerr, as in Joseph." And I was like, I hate what I'm reading. I cannot believe that was put into a real comic. Like, unbelievable. They were saying Joker. They were saying Joe Kerr. Kerr.
Calling Mr. Kerr, Mr. Joe Kerr.
Yeah, one table for Joe Kerr. No, not Joker. I know you heard that, but I said Joe Kerr. Get me off this planet. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how the fuck this happens or what. I don't know.
All right, let's move on from
yes.
shitting all
Let's
over
talk about
Spawn.
comics we like. So, like I said, there was a shit ton of Image comics out this year that ruled. Did you guys read any of them?
Yeah,
Not
I
yet.
read a ton of them.
What
Not
did you
yet.
read, Craig?
I would say probably my favorite comic for the year, besides Super Freaks, which also an Image comic, would be Do a Powerbomb. I loved it. I thought it was everything that comics should be, and I'm not even a huge wrestling fan, but it was more than that. It almost was like, again, like a Kaneko Man type cosmic wrestling with a great ending to that story. And the art is absolutely not a better dynamic artist out there than DWJ.
Yeah, he's Do a Powerbomb. I'm only 4 or 5 issues in. I haven't finished it yet, but it
So
is.
I won't spoil it, but the ending is good. It's a good ending.
No doubt.
enjoyed it.
I don't think Daniel Warren Johnson has done a bad ending yet. He's got so much heart in his work. The ending of his stories are always heartfelt. Really.
Well,
really
this
catch you.
this keeps it going.
Yeah.
Give it a number rating. How do you feel on a scale of 10?
I give it a 9 or a 10. Like, I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I didn't know where it was going the whole ride. Like, there was lots of twists and turns. Not lots, but there were a couple of real big twists where it was like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I haven't finished it,
wasn't
and I'd say it's easily
straightforward.
9.
You're going to laugh.
Yeah.
Listen to how lucky I am. I bought every issue. They're all right back there. I haven't read any of them, so I'm going to get to read them one right after another.
Turn your ass around and get to work.
What was
So-
your favorite Image book?
Well, my favorite is probably Rogue Sun. Rogue Sun
Yeah,
is one of those
I love Rogue Sun, too.
super massive. Rogue Sun, I think, does... See, I'm not a big fan of Radiant Black, the main series. I think it's got good ideas, but I think its pacing problems keep it from greatness.
I can agree with that.
I think we're 20 issues in, and I still don't really care what's going on in Radiant Black. But Rogue Sun, I want to say, this is not quite hyperbole, I think it could be as good as Invincible.
Ooh.
As far as like teen superheroes stories go. It's got the script flip that I demand from all my favorite superhero comics. And it's got a good one. And it doesn't take fucking 12 issues to get to it like Radiant Black does.
For the listeners, Craig is shaking his head vehemently.
No, I agree. And the art is spectacular.
Oh, it's so good.
I love that it's set in New Orleans, so it's not just another New York or Chicago or, whatever big city. It's got that little bit of different flavor to it. And it's tied in with the Massiverse, so it feels like, familiar.
It's tied in, but
But
in
it
the issues,
doesn't.
In the issues I've read, it hasn't really impacted anything being connected.
They had that one big crossover one-shot book.
and that was interesting because again, like Rogue Sun, the series is about a teenage superhero taking on the mantle. In Supermassive, it was the father that we got to know,
right
before the events of the series, and that was actually pretty interesting to me because I did not, right off the bat, I did not expect this to be a generational story because I wasn't really totally sure what to expect from Rogue Sun. So right off the bat, it's got an interesting hook because because of that Supermassive one shot teeing it up.
I thought that was a good idea too, because like the Supermassive one shot gave you a taste of what Rogue Sun was like without interfering with the Rogue Sun story.
Right.
You know, so you still got to see the character, but it was, you know, the father instead of the son. And that way you don't have to read that to understand the actual series. But it's well done. It's it's probably the best book of all the Massiverse books. I loved Radiant Red.
Radiant Red is very good.
The artwork was probably some of the best I've seen in a while. Like,
who is
Raven,
the
have
artist?
you looked at? I don't know. It's amazing. It's
really
got some manga
amazing.
influence, I would say.
Very strong,
but not
cartooning.
quite. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
You should check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. Even if
it's some of the
not-
best artwork I've seen.
Even if you're not high
a
on
while.
Radiant Black, Radiant Red's worth reading. New series,
Yeah.
Radiant Pink just started too. I suspect that one's pretty good too, but I haven't read it yet.
I've got the issue. I have not read it. I do like Radiant Black. I start off like the current storyline. I'm kind of falling off a little bit, and haven't read, but they had one issue. So one thing I really like that I'm enjoying about the Massiverse is how much energy that they're putting in this universe and hype. Talk about like marketing and hype. Like they've got their own website. They put out like special books every once in a while. They put out like merchandise, shirts. They're hyping it up, kind of like a mini Skybound in a way.
Yes.
And they're doing a good job with that. So like, even though titles aren't interacting right now, I find myself buying them because I'm buying into this universe and I want to like.
Me too.
You know,
Very
I like
similar.
superhero universes.
That's cool.
I'm still reading Radiant Black off the back of the other titles being so good.
Yeah. And then
That's
they've
cool.
got Dead Lucky that came out. I don't know if you're reading that.
Dead Lucky's pretty good too. I'm not rating it as one of my favorites for the year. I think it's kind of okay, but it can go places. It's still got space to go. I think there's only like 4 issues out, but I don't hate it. I like it enough to keep reading it.
This is the thing. It's filling a hole for me. Like I want to read superhero comics, but I don't want to get into Marvel or DC. Like it's filling in the Invincible hole for me right now. And maybe Savage Dragon, since there's been really no Savage Dragon comics this year.
So one book that really surprised me this year, which I was not expecting to like as much as I have, is Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of like a commentary on creator rights, comic book creator, because it's about a comic book creator. It's about one of the co-creators of one of the world's most popular superheroes. It's about both the co-creators. One of them who became kind of a sellout, and the other who kind of got left behind. And it's just kind of about like, what do you really care about when it comes to your creations? Is it about the money? Is it about the fame? Or is it just the desire to tell stories with the character you created?
A McFarlane versus Larson scenario.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I recommend it just because it's such a unique story. It's not autobiographical by any means, but it feels like it is. I guess I would say. I mean, it's commentary kind of on our oversaturated superhero multimedia landscape. Is kind of its whole premise.
That sounds very interesting.
It is, and Zdarsky is definitely somebody, a creator that I can really recommend, because I don't think I've read a bad Zdarsky comic yet.
What's his other Image books that he has out?
He wrote a issue of Crossover, which was also one of the best issues of Crossover. I can't remember what else he's done at Image. What I primarily know him from is writing Spider-Man life story.
Yeah.
And of course, a bunch of other Marvel books.
Sidebar: did you drop off of crossover?
No, I finished it to the end. I like it. I like crossover.
You liked it, okay?
It was one of my favorite books of last year. Yeah.
It
wasn't perfect, but I liked what it was going for. I think it kind of nailed it. I kind of want it to come back because it doesn't feel like it's finished. In fact, it ends on a cliffhanger. So
did you drop off, Craig?
I heard that like the sales weren't there, so it's not going to come back. But
that sucks.
I could be wrong. I feel like I heard that somewhere. I bought every issue. I bought every issue intent to read every issue, and I feel like 4 issues in, and I kind of just lost interest, and I still feel like I owe it because I bought them to finish it. And I found this year, I think we talked off the air a little bit, Raven, but I feel like I'm in the same boat as you. Like I bought a lot of comics I didn't read this year, and I've got to get into my stack. I never do that, and it's like I don't like doing it because if I find out I don't like a comic, then I've just wasted money. But
oh yeah, so I got some question marks sitting in that heap.
It's one of the biggest benefits of being digital like me is that you don't get stuck with books you didn't read.
Right.
You don't have to buy them until you're ready to read them. So the other Image book he did was Stillwater, which I'll be honest. I read that for like 10 issues and I did drop it, so that one didn't grab me as much. That was about a isolated town of immortals. It was a whole thing. It was kind of interesting, but it just did not catch me.
Stillwaters didn't run deep with Jim.
No, they did not.
Jim, I know you liked Step by Bloody Step, right?
Okay, so Step by Bloody Step is a very fascinating comic that I don't know if it's fantastic or amazing. So the thing about Step by Bloody Step is that it's a silent comic. There is spoken dialogue, but there's no English. There's no language that we understand.
Bummer.
What do you mean bummer?
No, I was hoping it was like no words.
No,
just
there's
visuals gone.
There's some alien language word bubbles, but it's very much
it's not translated.
It's not translated. It's implied.
Gotcha.
It's very much a silent comic, and the art is incredible. And the story again, because it's a silent comic, has a lot of. It's not always super clear what's going on because sometimes you do need words to make things clear.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit. Like I liked the first issue, and then as it got through it, is like sometimes I was just super confused. And
did you finish it?
I don't know if this works.
You got all the way to the end.
I want to say so, but I can't remember reading the last issue. I have all the issues. I can't remember if I read the last issue or not because I did struggle a bit at parts.
The thing about the series is it definitely wants you to start reading the series again after you finish it the first time.
And then things start clicking.
Things make more sense when you read it twice.
Intended for reread. I like it.
Yeah, it's built that way.
It's a gorgeous book, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. It's one of the best looking like sci-fi concepts of this year.
Cool.
So a late arrival, of which there's only been 2 issues so far that I am a big fan of. Of course, this goes back to talking about crossover. Donny Cates' Vanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought that because you guys recommended it.
I don't think
maybe
Raven
just you,
did.
Jim.
It was just
Jim.
me.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like it. It's the art is reminiscent of like Capullo Spawn, I would say.
Yeah, I remember you said that, and Raven was like, "Oh."
I like Capullo Spawn.
And I say that not having read Capullo Spawn, but it's got a very grungy Spawn-esque look to the whole thing.
Very dark.
Very dark.
Everything's at night.
The premise is pretty interesting to me, where it's about. All right, so on the surface, it looks like it's got standard like superhero traipsings, but there's like another level to it that's Harry Potter-esque.
It's like wizards looking.
They were these
right?
child soldier wizards that were preparing for like the end of the world, but it turned out that was a lie, and so one of the students takes matters into his own hands and kills the headmaster.
Ooh.
And that sort of like breaks the whole like society down, and now he's back on Earth and all of these evil wizards have come to Earth, and they are masquerading as masked superheroes.
Okay.
And so this guy is going to kill them because they are evil. It's more complicated than that, but I like it. I think it's very interesting conceptually.
And it's got a good setup.
I'm going to stick with it for a bit.
Yeah. I guess issue 3 comes out next week, so looking forward to that. Saga came back this year, and it was good
I didn't
as it
jump
ever
back
was.
onto Saga. I don't know why. I just didn't.
I think more annoyingly, it only ran for six issues and then went back on hiatus again. That was really, really annoying.
Did they say why?
No, I think they're just pacing it out, but I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they would. That's the one thing I've discovered. So every year, I like to go back and I like to correlate and list all the comics I read in the year.
Uh-huh.
And for 5 or 6 years, I've done this, where I basically just type out, write out everything I've read in the last calendar year. Nothing, not one single comic that I read has 12 issues come out. It comes out 12 issues in a year. Never.
It'd be nice,
ever.
wouldn't it?
Invincible used to.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Not towards the end. Towards the end.
No, not towards the end. But that's when I think people are getting
Things
a little
were
tired
breaking
of
down.
it and moving. Yeah,
things were breaking down.
I think behind the scenes that ended a lot sooner than they want to admit. But
oh yeah, definitely. See, that was the thing. Invincible was never as successful as Walking Dead.
Right.
Well, Walking Dead came out monthly, pretty much. Hallie,
it did.
Because Adlard is a
machine,
workhorse, but also is just in a less detailed style.
Yeah.
Like it's a style built for speed. And
out of curiosity,
Otley's really detail intense.
So the only comic I read this year that was new, that went more than 6 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, what was it? You know what? Oh, Saga went 8 issues. And, no, I'm wrong. Radiant Black went 8 issues. So Radiant Black with 8 issues.
Yeah, they've been pretty good.
Was the most consistent comic that came out this year.
Dude, it's hard. I feel like there is a mindset among modern creators. I've even seen it said that, quote unquote, no one can do 12 issues anymore.
Right.
And I feel like you totally can. It's just you can't do 12 issues necessarily of Frank Quietly level art. You're going to have to Charlie Adlered it up a little bit to get 12 issues out. But it's one of those things where it's I see sort of the conversation amongst other creators where they're like, well, just nobody's doing that. It's just not done. And it's no, but it can be done. You just got to change your approach.
The thing is, though, we're talking, we read mostly indie comics.
Right.
Think about when you were reading Marvel and DC, they pump them out, but how many times would you read a comic and all of a sudden the next issue would be a guest artist and you'd be like, oh, this sucks. It's a fill-in artist.
Yes, dude.
They have the luxury of doing that.
And again, I don't even count that as quote unquote a creator doing 12 issues.
Right.
Because it's if I'm reading Quietly issues and all of a sudden it's fucking Igor Cordy, it's that's a pretty shitty transition. So I don't know. It's kind of a thing I wish that maybe people would just kind of accept that hey, if your style, if your approach is making it impossible for you to be prolific, maybe you need a different approach.
Here's something wacky. So this year I started reading the IDW Sonic the Hedgehog comic because Craig asked on a FINcast a while back, who the hell reads Sonic the Hedgehog? And I decided, I'm going to read the guy who reads Sonic the Hedgehog. So I caught up on Sonic the Hedgehog. And we were just talking about this. I thought, for sure, absolutely, Sonic the Hedgehog must have had 12 issues come out in this calendar year. Nope, it's 8. Only 8 issues. What the fuck?
That's what I'm telling you. I've seen it said that it's just not done anymore.
It's a licensed comic.
Which
is
is
come out.
With the technology we have today and how much faster things can move along, it makes no sense.
Dude, I'm 5 times as fast digitally.
Now, to be fair, Sonic did have 3 spin-offs come out this calendar year, so overall there was probably more 20 Sonic comics this year. But the main series, only 8 issues.
It's weird. It's just weird. comics want to be like, oh, no one's reading comics, and then they want to make comics.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if there were 12 issues of my favorite comic this year, I would buy 12 issues of my favorite comic.
So there's a conversation I want to have at some point that it's like it's the comparison of like manga and American comics. It works like this. Manga comes out pretty consistently weekly. I mean, there's some exceptions. Oda only puts out one piece every 3 weeks. My Hero Academia actually has been taking similar breaks.
After over 20 years of being consistent, though.
Which is good because manga creators are running to the fucking earth trying to meet these weekly deadlines.
They literally die early.
But the fucking weird thing is, manga comes out way more often than American comics. And yet they take years to tell story arcs. Decades in some cases. And if an American comic that comes out monthly ever tried to do a story arc that was years long, like you'd have an absolute revolt on your hands. You'd never be able to sustain interest in that at that pace.
You can't.
It's kind of fascinating that the difference between the two styles creates such a dramatic, where one is more often, takes longer than the one that comes out less often.
Dude,
One Piece to be shorter.
One Piece is approaching 25, or no, it's in its 25th year or past it or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're still saying it's got 5 more years to wrap up. They're Americans. So Americans can totally hang with these like decades long story arcs.
Yeah.
But
I feel like you need that.
American companies don't try.
I feel like you need that consistently, the weekly format, or having a new collection of it every month. I don't know how often One Piece collections come out. Is it every month or every 2?
They make enough comics that it comes out. I think you get a couple books a year.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I know why it doesn't happen in the indies is they die a sales death.
Sure.
You die a sales death before you ever told a years long story. You're just not going to do it.
No.
That's why you have web comics that have done years long stories.
Yeah, absolutely, yes, you're right. Of course,
because there's no sales death. But as far as in the direct market, you're not going to tell a years long story because you got to make it.
Yeah,
you got to make 1 year.
Super Raven's Dojo was like a 3-year-long story.
That story arc took like 5 years, I think, to execute. And again, if I was doing it a page a day, it could have been a year and a half.
You're a mangaka.
Yeah, American fucking mangaka. Yeah, speaking of manga, like that's what I read this year. I didn't get to read any U.S. comics, but because I was doing the Daily Savage Dragon reread, which was way more time consuming than I thought it would be, because I didn't want to blast through them. I was like really like studying it and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I read 2 Japanese comics this year that just fucking ruled, and one of them is Chainsaw Man. I don't know. We haven't talked on the FINcast about it, right?
I don't think we talked on air.
Off. I'll be concise. Basically, I think it is something everyone would fucking love, and it ended up. I ended up thinking, I was like, hey, this is kind of this was my growth with it. I'm reading the first volume. I was like, hey, this is kind of stupid. I don't really see where this is so. And then by the end of the first book, I was like, God damn, I see it. I see the vision. Like, I get why people like this. This is fucking pretty good. And then I just got to where I just couldn't stop buying books. Because I was behind the curve. Everybody was ahead of me.
Did you read this before or after you read the one-shots?
Before.
Okay. So
the one-shots just added to the... because they just added to the mystique of this author who I was just like, oh my God, this guy is a fucking genius. And the thing is that I'm not going to spoil shit because people should read Chainsaw Man.
Well, it's on TV right now. The anime's coming out and it's like super nuclear hot.
Right. In case the listeners want to read it though, because I do think as a comic fan, he works the comic medium. Yeah. In a way that I think Americans would really appreciate. And the thing is that it just fucking blew me away how good and cinematic it is, and the pacing and the storytelling and the action and the characterization, and just it's one of those things where I feel like every now and then a Japanese comic will come around that's not like anything. Like Death Note is not like any other comic. It's just like Death Note's like Death Note, and nothing else is like Death Note. That's how fucking Chainsaw Man is. And I didn't think it was going to be. When I started reading it, I thought it was just a fucking fight comic. And it ends up being so goddamn good. And I just think that the art starts off, like, again, even the art fools you that way. It starts off shitty and scratchy. And you just end up, you realize you're just like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking genius. Like, he can just compose shots. And, like, just the pacing and the cinematic parallels from one scene to the next. Again, he's a movie junkie. He makes it crystal clear and all this stuff. And he's clearly taken all this shit that he learned watching films and put it right into the comic. It's one of the most cinematic comics I've ever fucking read in my life. And so I easily recommend it to anyone. Learn nothing. It's got a gut punch from fucking hell that'll just destroy you. And it's just like when you're reading it, you're just thinking, you know, this is just some dumb fun shit. And then you just end up getting fucking destroyed left and right, like over and fucking over again. And so, yes, it's fucking fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. Yes, it is on TV. If you want to watch it, it looks great. But hey, man, we're in a comic podcast. So I'm recommending you read that goddamn comic. And then the other comic I read was, I'm going to fuck the name up, but, you know, you'll figure it out. It's Dead Demons Destroy.
Oh, God damn it. That is one of those comics that I should have been reading for years, but I still haven't got to. It looks incredible.
It is really good. It's another one of those comics that it's just like, there's nothing like this. It's not as good as Chainsaw Man. Right. So there's that. But the thing to know about this is that it's weird. And so it's not going to appeal to everyone. Like, I think everyone would love Chainsaw Man.
Well, its creator is known for doing those sorts of like low key weird.
It's very weird.
I guess I would call it like slice of life, but weird.
Yes. Oh yeah, you nailed it.
Because it's Goodbye Pun's creator, right?
Correct. Yeah. So again, when you start reading it first, you might even get the kind of vibe that it's a little boring. And you might be like, well, where's the fantastical element? Am I really reading a comic about fucking little girls in Japan in school? Like, what the fuck how am I reading this? Why is this holding anyone's attention? And again, they're just weird. They're just weird little girls in school. And you're just like, fucking, what's the appeal of this? Who the fuck was this made for? But like, if you have a stomach for weird shit, and you have patience for a very slow burn. I mean, this is like books of slow burn. I will say that it gets to a place that is pretty fucking interesting. And then the other twist to the thing to keep you, or maybe interest you, just get you to check it out, is that the artist works in just one of the most lavish, insanely detailed fucking visual styles I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I've seen the art. It's the main reason I wanted to check it out initially.
It is dense. I mean, like, you're talking about like visual shorthand. He doesn't use it. Everything gets drawn. I'd hate to be one of his assistants. I'd blow my brains out.
Because he does all these freaking cityscapes all the time.
I mean, everything. All right. You may have seen like a grocery store scene or like a bookshelf full of books where every spine has a different thing on it. All right, but when you see that, usually you see it for like one page or a double page spread, and then when you go back to reading
that on different panels,
dude, it's dense. It's dense in every goddamn shot. Every goddamn shot is dense. Every goddamn shot is so visually dense. It's fucking. I've never seen anything like it, and that is part of the appeal because I'm an artist. So if you're kind of like a visual detail whore, it's crazy. So again, not for everyone. It's not Chainsaw Man, but if you're looking for something just fucking weird and different and just visual fucking feast, hey man, that's the guy. So yeah, those were the two I was reading. Of course I'm reading One Piece. One Piece is going crazy places this year because it's fucking ending.
So is Dead Demons DDDD Destruction over? It looks like the final volume came out.
I think it came out this month.
It did, yeah.
So I haven't got it.
I guess now's the time. It says August, volume 11.
So I think you can read. I read 11. So I think 12 comes out in like December.
Okay.
So I think it's done though. So if you're wanting to just read it all you can. And so it hooked me. It's super weird. I recommend Chainsaw Man over that. Like, if you got to choose, if you only got the money, choose Chainsaw Man. But like, it's still good. Maybe if you like weird shit, check it out. But One Piece is ending, and that's fucking super exciting because after years of kind of fucking around, he's just driving that shit straight home. I mean, he's just like dropping fucking plot points that have been dangling for 20 fucking years. He's just dropping them left and right. And so, yeah, that was the shit I read this year, and it was just fucking bananas. So
I read a lot less manga this year than I have in previous years. I'll be honest, I mostly just got cheap and stopped buying the books. Like, I missed a bunch of Fists of the North Star volumes I should have read, and I'm way behind on Beastars. Those were both books I was a big fan of last year, and I'm still a fan of. It's just I just haven't had the time or money to want to just get through them all. I mostly just kept up with all my Shonen Jump weekly stuff through the app.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia continues along. It's pretty good. I think the current arc's a little chunky, plot pacing wise. I think the series is supposed to be. It's just not as good as it was.
I don't hear anyone talking about it these days. I feel like it kind of.
One Punch Man, though, holy shit! One Punch Man this year has been fucking incredible.
I have not been hearing people talk about it. Is it fucking good?
Holy shit! Is it good? Right? Well, not right now. It climaxed its story arc about 3 months ago. But holy shit, was that arc end on a high? Fucking crazy.
Hell yeah, dude! I'd love to see One Punch Man doing good.
Art wise, you'd probably shit yourself. Some of the stuff they were doing.
He's one of the best in the world. No exaggeration. One of
what
the
volume
best
is that on?
That's a good question. I read it weekly, so I don't, or monthly rather, so I don't keep track of the volumes, but I'll check. Ooh, looks like a lot. Looks like up to 25 now.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, indeed. But go ahead.
Did either of you guys pick up New York Ninja?
Okay, you're the
sequel to the movie.
You're the second person to talk about New York Ninja in the last 4 days on a podcast with me.
Really?
Yeah. I here's the thing. I saw the comic at my local one of my local comic shops, and I had it in my hands, and I thought about buying it, and I ended up not buying it because, of course, it's the sequel to the movie. The story behind what the movie is really fascinating. I learned all about it on the other podcast I was on.
Right.
Apparently, they had a bunch of footage for a film that was shot. They had no audio. They had no cast list. So they overdubbed it and cut it together into a new movie.
It was an actual 80s kung fu, karate movie, ninja movie.
Right.
Missing all. So the redubs have got like some of those like 80 actors in it. What's the Don the Dragon Wilson? He's like, I think he's actually the ninja. It's like, but he's not. He doesn't play the ninja in the movie, but his voice is dubbed.
Right. I don't know the details because I haven't seen the movie or read the comic, but apparently the end of the movie is kind of sudden because they ran out of footage, and so the comic is supposed to be a more satisfying ending.
Yeah.
But I like the comic is interesting because it caught my eye immediately because it's magazine sized, and I love magazine sized comic books, and that was almost the
very
reason I bought
indie.
it. Well, the guy who made it is the guy who did the Revenger comic. Do you guys remember Revenger?
Right. Yeah, I have that series.
Yeah, Revengers. And,
one of the trades.
Slasher, I think they also did, although I have not read Slasher. If you're a fan of Michel Fiffe, you'd probably like either of those books.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. That was the thing too, Jim. It was magazine style. I flipped it open and it had that kind of indie art. You know, the Alexis Zarit or whatever / you know, the Revenger type stuff.
I may still go back and get it. It was still on the shelf when I was there a few days ago.
I'll pick it up. It seems right up my alley. I just didn't hear anybody say anything about it.
Yeah, you'd probably
the official comic
like it in the movie.
Floating World Comics always puts out really good indie weirdo stuff. Do you guys get any collections? Like, I know I got the Copra hardcover. Do you guys get any cool like hardcovers or collections?
No.
It's hard for me to say because like I've got so much in my stack and I just like have fucking forgot. Like I just bought a bunch of shit. I know I like bought Pink Lemonade, which I recommend.
Yes.
Did actually.
Yeah,
Pink
that's one of the books
Lemonade.
I'm sort of sleeping on. I've got them in my wish list, but I haven't read them yet. It's weird
I've
because
been picking it up since you recommended it, Raven.
You like it?
There's a new Oni
Yeah.
series, right? But there was a previous series before that was self-published.
Yeah, he got started and then Oni picked it up. And so he just goes back and starts over, but then he finishes it with Oni. So it never finished. It never finished in Indie, but then
Okay.
it does finish with Oni.
So I can start with the Oni series
Oh yeah.
safely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
then I will do
you don't
that.
you don't have to go back. Yeah.
Don Simpson actually draws some stuff in the original series.
Yeah, I want to say I feel like Nick is like maybe Pittsburgh centric or something.
Yeah. I got this year. I got my the second and third volume of the Madman collections, which is fucking awesome. He's
Huge.
putting out everything
those
he
are
ever did
huge.
in the Madman universe in these handy dandy collections.
Yeah, I
How
need
many
to get,
pages is that?
I don't know, shit ton.
I gotta get those digitally. They look like very handy collections. I guess what I actually did buy something. Not print though, digital. They reissued the Grendel omnibuses, and I bought the digital reissues of those because they were better quality than the originals. Because the originals were still standard definition and were kind of fuzzy looking, but anyway, they're very good. I finally read the original graphic novel there.
The only Grendel that I ever read was his crossover with Batman, which was fucking awesome back in like the early 90s. Was and probably still is one of my favorite superhero comics visually. And the funny thing is I just never picked up anything else Grendel after that. But that comic blew me away. It like blew my mind. Like the art.
That was drawn by Wagner, right?
Yeah.
So I love Wagner's art. I'm a huge fan of Mage. Thing with Grendel is a lot of it isn't drawn by Wagner, and that may less appealing because of that. But
It gets wacky though, right? He goes like into space and everything too. And
well, okay. So I haven't gotten that far. Well, I have, but I haven't read. So last year he came out with when actually in 2020 because it kind of got delayed because of the pandemic. He came out with Grendel, Final Odyssey, something Odyssey, which was based on the future Grendel, who's like a super soldier, armored up dude, slaughters people. It's crazy. I read that without having read any of the rest of Grendel. And even though I lacked a little bit of context about this space Grendel guy, it was super cool. Also, it was drawn by Wagner, so it looked great. Apparently, that is part of like a whole like storyline that started many years prior.
Mm-hmm.
Grendel starts out as like a street level sort of like crime story, and I guess just over time the concept iterates, becoming more and more like outlandish over time. So it'll be interesting as I read through to see that development where it goes.
Yeah, I know there's like space buff, like crazy Grendel. There's Grendel with the long spear. There's Lady Grendel.
Right.
That's all I know.
What I was surprised about is Grendel is not a hero character. Grendel is actually the villain of the story. If you ever read the original graphic novel, Devil's Due or the Devil, I should know the name of it off the top of my head, but I don't. Grendel is treated as like a crime boss, and then there is like a quote unquote a superhero who basically battles them, but that quote unquote hero character is barely touched upon at all because the point of view of the story is actually from a completely different point of view. It's hard to explain exactly in words without giving away too many spoilers, but it's not as straightforward as a story as you'd think it would be. Grendel is a very complicated character, and it's definitely been worth it going back and finally reading the thing. So I recommend Grendel.
Hell yeah. It's just like, what is that fucking Nexus? It's just like there's so many things that I just need. Yeah. I need to go back and read. I barely read any Love and Rockets. It's just like there's so much shit that I need to read that I just haven't. I guess there's new Bone coming out.
Is there new Bone?
Oh, really?
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, crazy enough, this year there was actually a whole bunch of like digital Humble Bundle sales where I got not only most of the Love and Rockets collections, but I also got everything Terry Moore has ever done. Terry Moore did Strangers in Paradise and Rachel Rising and Echo and those books. Haven't read a single one of them, but I now have them all at least.
And then the Twilight Zone episode ends with Jim's glasses cracked. No,
I have
a bunch of Image series that I have not read that I'm sitting there. Like we were just touching upon. Junkyard Joe, I've got to read those. I picked those up.
I'll be honest, I was disappointed Geiger, so that was kind of like
Geiger, like strong art. Like I was expecting more, but I'm kind of sticking with it, hoping another universe that might be a little cohesive. I don't know.
We'll see.
But yeah, I'm not that excited to read Junkyard Joe, but I bought it.
Noctera I also started, but I kind of fell off about issue 6. I gotta.
Does it fizzle out, kind of?
See, it's hard to tell if it fizzled out or if I just kind of, because what will happen is I'll read a series and I'll like it, and then like 6 months will pass and I'll have forgotten to have bought the issues, and now there's 6 months worth of issues I gotta catch up on. I go, oh man, that'll take a whole afternoon.
Well, they came out with 11 issues. I like it in the fact that so I'll stick around if you're monthly and you stick with it. Like I feel like it makes it feel safe. Like this is something worth investing my time in. And then they took a little hiatus, but they just came out with a special one-shot this past week. Or last week, I think it was. So now I'm feeling I got to jump into it and start reading it because I don't want to go any further and then not like it and then find out I just spent a bunch of money for nothing. It's
got a cool premise as far as post-apocalyptic stories go.
Yeah. And then Once in Future, I bought the whole series. I haven't read it yet. It was
same situation.
Issues.
I got all the Once in Future issues volumes too, and I have not even started them.
They look gorgeous, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
But I'm afraid now I'm not going to like it, and I just wasted a shit ton of money.
Yep.
Well, Is there any books for you guys? Well, I know, Raven, you say you didn't read much, but maybe Jim. Any books that we haven't talked about that you either stopped collecting because they just kind of fizzled out on you, or that you just were disappointed with when you bought and just was like, expected way more?
Let's check my handy dandy sheet. What did I not finish? Okay, so one book that I absolutely did not like. Oh, where is it? So you can never remember the name because I didn't like it.
See, I'm very lucky that I follow creators mostly.
Yeah.
I don't just stray.
So here's one book that disappointed me greatly. So, you know how we're kind of a fan of the Supermassive? So in the back of one of the issues, I think it was Rogue Sun, there was a ad for a book called Onyx. Onyx was a one-shot. Onyx is part of, if you keep an eye on like a bunch of Image comics, you'll notice that some of them have this Z logo on them, which I believe stands for Synergize. They're basically a label. They put out a bunch of books right now, and I'll be honest, every single one of them I read was not that good. Apparently, it's is it Ashley Wood? It might be Ashley Wood's company. They did the one who did the Metal Gear Solid books.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. Eric loves Ashley Wood. He's spoken highly of his stuff, and I can't get into it.
I've tried, and nope.
Onyx,
I own that Metal Gear. Nope.
Onyx looked like it was like a African, like the country of Africa, like African futurism, like armored hero, like Super Sentai sort of thing. and it turned out to just kind of be like this ultra generic armored space character like a Green Lantern, and it just was so disappointing as a comic. And I was really hoping for more like the superhero sort of thing, like we got out of Supermassive. It just wasn't that. That was probably one of the more disappointing like impulse purchases I made this year. Unfortunately.
Are you still collecting Firepower?
No, I dropped Firepower with issue 12. That book was just too slow burn for me.
Yeah. I'm finding like I love Chris Samney and I like Kirkman's writing and I want to like it. But Kirkman's weird. He's got like what was the one that was really slow burn?
Outcast.
I couldn't deal with it.
I fell off Kirkman with not Outlast, the other one.
Oblivion Song?
I tried that for 12 issues, and I just could not jive with it. And so I
really like that. I'm surprised that you didn't like that, but
now granted, I did end up dropping off Walking Dead about right after the war arc. So at that point, I was kind of done with Kirkman in general. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's changed with his writing. Maybe it's always been that way, but it's just something just stopped clicking with me with him. He's not as snappy as I remember him to be.
I can help you. When he was doing Invincible, he was much more snappy and quick to get to things. And then the success of Walking Dead showed him he could be as slow as he wanted to be.
Yep.
And oh boy, he stretched those legs. And it's just like...
My favorite Skybound book of the last few years was Die, Die, Die. And
that was great.
That book is fantastic, but of course it came out for like 5 or 6 issues and then stopped for a year. Came back for 5 or 6 more and then it just stopped. Come on, man.
So did that never finish?
Oh, it finished. It had an ending. It just there's room for more and it just hasn't come back yet.
I think it's
because I love Die, Die, Die. I thought that was fucking
the Obama issue was the last issue.
Okay.
Remember the Obama boxing issue?
Oh, yeah. Bummer.
Dude, for the longest time, there was a villain. Do you remember on the Obama boxing issue where there's like a double page spread with like the whole crowd scene?
Yep, sure.
And there's like all these random characters.
It was based on the Superman versus Muhammad Ali Treasury cover.
Yeah. There's this villain in it, and I couldn't for the life of me remember where I saw it from, and it hurt my brain so bad for like 6 months until I figured it out. And I thought the villain was like the bad guy from remember the fake Ghostbusters cartoon with the gorilla?
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was him, and it wasn't him, and I couldn't for the life of me remember where he was from. And it turned out he was the villain from the Pac-Man cartoon from back in the day.
Right.
The Ghostmaster?
Is that what his name was? I can't remember, but it hurt my brain for 6 months trying to figure out because I so knew him because I'd watched so many of those cartoons as a kid and I couldn't place it and I couldn't I did so many searches on the internet and everything. And then one day it just came across and I was like so relieved. It was such mental anguish.
Mesmeron?
Yes.
Mesmeron?
Yes, that sounds right.
Here, I'm linking a picture in the text chat for you.
Yes, please. Thank
He's
you.
bald with like the little like kind of Darth Vader-ish, I think.
Remember that theme song? How Pac-Man. I was just thinking how like there used to be a trend in music where you just have random demon voice.
Yep, that's it.
And Pac-Man had that. Oh yeah, you're right. Very Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, I got to go back. Did you say the fake Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Because it predates Ghostbusters, right?
No, I know. I just call it the fake Ghostbusters because they call the other one the real Ghostbusters.
Gotcha.
That one's based on like black and white TV show, that cartoon, and it was just a cash grab.
Sure was.
It was so confusing as a kid, though.
Yeah, I was like, why are there this Ghostbusters that have a fucking gorilla? I don't get it. At the same time, didn't you kind of wish the real Ghostbusters had a gorilla?
Everyone should have a gorilla.
Because the gorilla was awesome. It was the other two hokey. They looked like hillbillies. I was like,
they have the black and white TV shows on like YouTube. I watch them. I'd be like, I would have loved that as a kid, though.
Oh yeah, I watched a whole mini documentary about the history of Ghostbusters, original Ghostbusters, and the live action stuff is actually very charming. The cartoon was absolutely a cash grab. Of course, the whole situation was Belushi and the other one.
You mean Aykroyd?
Aykroyd and both of them. I think they were the producers on it. They wanted to call the show Ghostbusters. Discovered Ghostbusters had already previously been used. Tried to think up a better name and said, "Fuck it, we'll just use the name and then ask for forgiveness and pay a fee later." And that's why they just stole the name.
What's the chances that like they would use that name? It's so weird.
Ghostbusters, right? Yeah, busting ghosts. That's not a fucking. You don't use that in terms of busting anything else. Hey man, you got a fly buster? Hand me that. Hand me that fly buster over here. Thanks.
All right, I think we've talked enough about the year 2022. We've been going on for almost 2.5 hours.
It's been a good one, dude.
Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Let's think. We did the compendium. We did the what we've been reading in depth. I guess just one last thing.
We bashed Liefeld and we bashed McFarlane. We got those checkboxed.
Yeah, we shit all over them. Both cheeks spread. Do you guys have any kind of like FINcast? Like just, it's our 10th anniversary. Do you have any kind of like reflections or any kind of things where you're just like stories that you just would like to bring up just in the moment? Like anything that just hits your head. Like, goddamn, this has been a crazy 10 years. Did you ever think you'd make it 10 years? Did you ever think that was it never in question? You were just going to do it as long as you could? Like,
well, I didn't really expect it to last 10 years. I mean, I thought podcasts, they come and they go, and eventually one of us would get a life and move on, and the other two would just kind of drift apart.
We just didn't get a life.
It just didn't happen.
You know what? It almost happened when Craig was gone all those times. Jim admitted to me. He's like, I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like...
It's true. For a while there, back in probably 5 years ago now, I was starting to feel like the podcast has run its course, but I think we found our second wind. And it wasn't because you weren't here, Craig. It was other factors in life. But it was nice to get you back when you finally
That's
did
good
come
to
back,
know.
right, full time.
Yeah, I mean, the first one started right when I had my first daughter, and it started to like slack off when I only have one daughter, but my son was born, and now they're like, my daughter is 12 and my son is 9, so I don't know. It's pretty crazy that we've been going this long. I didn't have any idea how long this would last. If you would have asked me 10 years ago if we'd still be doing this, I'd probably say no. But I don't know.
Nobody
would
thought we'd last one. We can make a podcast about one comic book.
Yeah, I mean, I just if I had to say anything about it, I'm just like, it's been awesome getting to know you guys and just talking Savage Dragon and having the time, like getting the time in to talk to Eric, like my favorite, funny book creator since I've been, whatever, 10 or 11, or I don't know, maybe 11 or 12. And just, at least a couple times a year get to pick his brain is pretty much awesome.
I think it's led to interesting, weird things. Like, I don't think of us as any kind of anybody or whatever, but like I like looking the other day and like Craig was complaining about someone on I won't name who, but like a certain group was rubbing Craig the wrong way, and Liefeld pops in the comments and is like, "Hey, what'd they say?" I'm just like, that is weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
It's weird. I mean,
that's the one thing that I love about the comics industry. Any hobby, we could have been like, our favorite thing is like movies or even music. Is like, you don't have the interaction that you do with comic book creators. Like, it's so cool that there's a lot of creators out there that are pretty down with just shooting the shit with the fans.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And, I mean, plus, dude, I just want to say, like, guys, I mean, for one, like, it's just been, you talk about, like, just getting to shoot the shit and talk with, like, you guys and Eric and everything else. But, I mean, just the network of, like, people, too, that have, like, come up around the show, like Simon and, you know, fucking Adam Pruitt. Like, I never would have known who he is, but it's like, goddamn, what an MVP of comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw his name on something just the other day.
The dude don't stop.
Proud to have known him.
He is the architecture, the invisible architecture behind many books. And
dude,
so,
he's the invisible architect that helped start the foundation of the FINcast. You know, like,
yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, logos for Dragon Fan, logos for the FINcast, like,
yeah.
It's just
no, I mean, all the connections that we've made, just to even make the Freak Force book. I mean, some of those guys, you know, we knew from, like, you know, just the boards and stuff like that, but it's really solidified with, you know, the podcast and having some of them on, and it's just been cool.
Yeah, I've had a great time. I mean, I think it's fucking awesome, and there's just been weird, crazy fucking stories, like things I was just like, that I, you know, like never would have imagined. Like if you'd asked 90s me if, you know, I would be sending pictures of sexy trees to Eric Larson, and then he'd just put them up on his wall. You know? I would have been like, what? Like, sexy trees? What are you talking about? Like, trees are just tubes with brown on them, right? Wrong. You can very much find sexy trees in nature. Thank you.
I've seen Disney movies. There were sexy trees in Disney and Fantasia.
So,
I liked a lot of our interviews, like the Josh Eichhorn one. Getting to talk to him was pretty goddamn funny. Like, you know, here's this guy just Eric, you know, cracks jokes on every episode. As a real intern, was, you know, every issue he's got a little blurb about him, and just to hear his stories, you know, Gary Carlson, Frank Fosco.
You talk about a treasure like Gary, dude, the secret grandfather of Image Comics, and I had no idea, and like I have just grown through this podcast. Because, dude, I had weird, shitty attitude about, like, any backup. I just didn't care. I only wanted to read the main stuff by Eric. If I'd flipped and seen the backups were by, like, someone other than Eric, I'd just not read them like an asshole. And then through this show, like, you know, to be involved in the show, I've, like, come and gone back and read, like, Etherian and all that shit. And I read it in sequence for the daily reread, and I mean, I just have such an appreciation for Gary's writing that I never would have had if it wasn't for the show. Frank's art's just fucking better than I ever gave him credit for. You know, I was shitty about it. To be honest, I was shitty about it. Don Simpson, I had shitty attitude about Don Simpson, and it's like, dude, he's one of the fucking greats. He's awesome.
Yeah,
and it's like,
but like even younger guys like Michel Fife, getting him on and getting to know him, and he came on twice. He's been great. I mean, talk about a guy that loves comics and just everything about comics. Like, he's such a fun guest.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. I mean, it is.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you, for, like, say the next 5 years? What do you guys have any kind of hopes for, like a guest or something you want to see done?
The same guy I always say, dude, we got to get Kirkman.
Yeah, Kirkman would be huge. I'd like to get Don Simpson at some point.
Oh yeah,
talk about Savage Dragon, Megaton Man. I mean, I think he's going to be coming out with some stuff in 2023, and will be a good chance to kind of talk to him. He's a character too. Like, he's very similar to Larson. He doesn't give a shit. Like, he'll just tell you his opinion, I feel like.
Beautiful. My favorite kind of guest.
Kirkman would be good. I don't know. Do you think would ever be a possibility?
No.
That's why he's the white whale.
No.
You got to get through his PR team.
He's way too busy.
I think the only way to get Kirkman would be to like have Eric ask him. Like that's the only fucking way. And so like, yeah, he'd be a white whale. Like to get him on the show, I don't think we ever will. But to have him on would just be fucking incredible.
Anyone else out there?
You guys were on the forums with him.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
You weren't?
But I'm saying like, well, that predates me. But like, hearing your guys' old stories.
You didn't hear all about his wrestling comic he wanted to make?
Nope. I've only heard about it from you guys secondhand. So I'm saying this is some shit I would fucking love to have covered. You know what I mean?
I mean, a more realistic guest, we need to get Dave Johnson on. I talked to Dave Johnson at Terrificon this year. Actually, holy shit, that was 2 years ago. Fuck, that's not good. Yeah. I actually, we were kind of fucked up because it's Dave Johnson was 2 years ago, and Don Simpson, who I talked to this year. We should probably have them both on this in the coming year. We should reach out for both of them, try to make those happen, because those are reachable, attainable goals. I think.
Not like Kirkman.
No, not like that golden goose. Maybe he'll have a spout of bad luck and need to bomb on our podcast to make ends meet.
He hits on hard times.
Hard times, baby.
Hey guys, you got that chicken sandwich you promised me? After the show, Robert. After the show.
Before we wrap things up, there's one thing I wanted to add that I totally forgot when I was going through my list because I was focusing mostly on Image. But I think Gods of Brutality wrapped up in 2022.
I think it only ran 4 issues.
Right. I think it started towards the end of 21 and wrapped up in 2022. But quite an enjoyable comic by our pal Mark Welser and Rich Woodall. I wish I could have, seen a trade come out of that. I'm not sure. Maybe it's still in the works, but I think they're coming out with more stuff for 2023, like other comics.
Scout, Black Caravan finally got their act together and got all their comics on Comixology, so I will be buying and reading those in the very near future.
But you're right, Craig. That is very much a Savage Dragon tag team, and what a treasure it is to have gotten to know Mark and watch him fucking just own this comic artist shit. Like, I always knew he fucking could. And he just is just knocking out, like, just incredible piece after incredible piece. And I only see good things for him and Rich both in the future. I mean, they're just so fucking talented. It's insane. Same thing with, like, Ben Bishop. Like, you just you learn about him through that little backup, and the next thing you know, he's doing the goddamn Ninja Turtles Last Ronin. And it's just like, what a treasure. What a find to just, hook up through these guys, hook up with these characters like through Dragon's backups, and then boom, next thing you know, they're doing shit that you just fucking love, like Gods of Brutality. And yeah, man, it's just awesome. It's been fantastic. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that without the FINcast in my life, it's easy to say that I just wouldn't be anywhere near as much a Savage Dragon fan, because you've got these lean years where, to be honest, it's easy to forget. I mean, we had, 2 issues this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, like, we're plugged into this community, and I've been doing the daily reread, and we've been doing retros, and we've been covering Ant, and it's just been a fucking blast. So, I mean, honestly, like, the FINcast has fucking enriched the hell out of my life. Like, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have been a part of it for all these years. Like, I'll never take it for granted. Like, talking with you guys is just a fucking blast. And I don't talk comics with a lot of people because, a lot of comic nerds fucking suck. They're not fun to talk to. They're not fun to talk with. They only want to go on about mainstream shit that I just don't give a shit about. I saw a thing trending. It's like, Miles Morales is not Spider-Man. Peter Parker's Spider-Man. And I was just like, bro, this is why I could easily, like, read comics and never talk to another single comic nerd. Because when I see shit like that, I'm just like, bro, I don't ever want to tell anyone I read comics. It's embarrassing. But, like, talking to you guys fucking rules. You read all kinds of cool shit. You put me on to all kinds of cool shit. I don't know. Just saying. Love the FINcast.
One of these days, I'm going to start playing video games and reading manga.
No, don't ruin your life. You can read manga because it's just comics, but no, don't ruin your life with the video game shit. It's no good for you. Craig will be like, yeah, I went to my I think I went to my last show. I'm gonna stay home and play video games here for. I'll be like, no, we dorked him up.
More fix.
Well, guys,
I think we said it all.
I think we did.
So thanks for listening, everyone. That was year 2022, I think. And as always, you can always find us at savagefincast.com. Send us an email at savagefincast@gmail.com. And search for us on YouTube.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
I need an over-under. Like, how many issues of Savage Dragon do you think we're getting in 2023? Go ahead and guess.
8.
I'm going to say 6.
I will say 4. So
Damn. Pessimist.
Someone write that down.
I'll write it down when the show comes out. All right. Thank you, dear listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jim.
See ya.
We see you next time.